Shield our airwaves and corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. 3, 2, 2, 1. Now live from the Devil Radio Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning. Welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Here is your host, Mike Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Tuesday edition. Fancy Brian, how you doing, man?
I am doing.
You're a little hangry, aren't you? I can tell you're hangry.
I'm a touch hangry. I have a procedure coming up on Thursday, and I have no food for 3 days and no weed for 2 days.
Oh, it's worse than hangry.
Yeah.
It could be really bad.
It's best for the nation that everybody avoids me at all times.
Well, thankfully, I've only got to join you on the radio for the next 3 hours and then do it again tomorrow. Fancy Brian, let's get right to the headlines. We got Evan as well. Evan, welcome. Well, here's how I'd like to welcome our audience today. I want to put a little thought. I try to, capture the spirit, the moment with my little headlines sometimes. So see if you like my latest take. GOP Red equals COVID dead. GOP Red equals COVID dead. Do you like that? Do you like that?
Well, it's good because it rhymes.
Let's see why I would arrive at that conclusion. Dana Milbank over at the Washington Post, going to start here today. And his headline, I like his as well. How does Ron DeSantis sleep at night? Well, let me tell you why he would ask that question.
In a coffin like the rest of the Republicans.
Here's how it begins. Dana Milbank. Republicans are killing us. No, really. Until now, we've known that COVID-19 death rates were higher among the unvaccinated and also higher in counties that went for Donald Trump, whose supporters were more likely to resist vaccinations, masks, and other pandemic precautions. Now, I'd point out, I listened to Righty Whitey Talk Radio, the national host, the now replacements for the dead Rush Limbaugh. The primary replacements, the heartless radio replacements. Clay and Buck.
Block and mortar, right?
Something like that. Clay
Block and mortar.
And their whole thing, their whole story today, or at least a big part of it, we the science believing mask wearing vaccinated left all suffer from a mass delusion. And hell, it could be a worldwide mass delusion. I mean, it's really gotten out of hand, folks. People trying to keep the COVID pandemic away with masking and things of that nature. They had a medical professional come on the show to tell us that we're the crazy ones.
Okay, cool.
So anyways,
that's so much easier. Oh my God, that's so much easier. I'll stop caring about it.
Well, I would point out, Clay and Buck, how do you sleep at night? But anyways, let's jump
in a coffin like the rest of them, just like I said, man.
You make a good point. Now that the Omicron wave is over, a couple of new analyses by state data both point to an inescapable conclusion. Living in states run by a Republican governor is dangerous to your health. Using data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, consultant Doug Haddix, hope I got that right, Doug, reported Sunday that since July 1, when the life-saving vaccine was widely available, the 14 states, 14, the number of the day is 14. The 14 states with the highest death rates were all run by Republican governors. So I'm sure that's pure coincidence.
I'm sure we've said that. I'm sure we've said that in a glib way, just throwing off. I bet you that's what's happening, but literally that's the case.
Literally, mathematically, statistically, that's the case. 14 states with the highest death rates, all Republican-run states. This includes Florida at about 153 deaths per 100,000 residents, Ohio, 142 deaths per 100,000. Arizona at 138, Georgia at 134. Now contrast that with the deep blue District of Columbia, DC. Only 27 deaths per 100,000. Well, okay, small sample size. Maybe you can dismiss DC. California, big old state, 40 million, big as Ukraine.
A lot of Republicans, too.
It's big as Ukraine. California's death rate, 58 per 100,000. Just a reminder, Florida, what was it? 153 per 100,000.
3 times as much as California.
Well, let's verify the math. Dana Milbank did just that. For verification, I checked with healthcare analyst Charles Gaba, whose data on COVID-19 and voting patterns has been widely cited. He ran the numbers for me using data mostly from Johns Hopkins and found similar results. Now, here's Gaba's math. The 16 states with the highest coronavirus death rates since July 1 were all run by Republicans. So it's not just 14, it's the top 16 mortality rate states, all Republican states. The worst, West Virginia, 204 deaths per 100,000. That's nearly 10 times the mortality rate of the District of Columbia. 10 times more likely to die in West Virginia. Followed closely by Oklahoma, Tennessee, Wyoming, and the aforementioned Florida. The states with the lowest death rates, by contrast, were all run by Democrats, or in the case of Vermont, Maryland, and Massachusetts, by moderate Republican governors who had heavily Democratic legislatures and embraced vaccines and masks. The best jurisdictions were DC, Vermont, Hawaii, and California, looking at data from the period since May 1, by which time all U.S. adults theoretically could have been vaccinated. Well, that produced similar results. Florida residents were, since vaccines have been widely available, nearly 7 times as likely to die from COVID-19 as residents of DC, nearly 3 times as likely to die as residents of California, and 2.5 times as likely to die as residents of New York. With Florida's population, 22 million. That's a lot of unnecessary deaths, as Dana Milbank writes here. This raises a question. How does Ron DeSantis sleep at night? Florida's Republican governor has been among the most outspoken in raising fears of the coronavirus vaccine, most recently suggesting falsely that it could harm women's fertility, suing to stop vaccine mandates, promoting ineffective cures, blocking rules requiring face masks, scolding mask-wearing kids for COVID theater. I know he doesn't sound exactly like Trump, but he's just as petulant, and touting misleading statistics. And it's likely no coincidence that Florida, under DeSantis, has had by far the highest COVID-19 death rate among the most populous states and is in the top 5 of all states. Other factors, including climate, healthcare, infrastructure, and the age and underlying health of the population, don't fully account for it. Maine, with an even older population than Florida, had a death rate just over half as high. Also, Florida's vaccination rate appears to be overstated thanks to vaccine tourism. Apparently, a lot of Floridians weren't getting the shot, so there were lots of shots available for a population of 22 million. In addition to the state's rankings, GABA's latest county-level data confirms earlier patterns. Since May, people in the most Trump 10th of U.S. counties had a death rate 3 times as high as those in the most anti-Trump 10th. The number of overall cases, however, was only 1.3 times as high, indicating that vaccines were preventing death. Did you get that? Vaccine may not prevent you from getting Omicron, kept you from dying of Omicron.
But that's the thing with these folks. They don't do it because they live in a black or white world. They think, oh, if someone gets it with a mask on, then all masks are ineffective. Well, no, it just reduces the percentage of possibility. It reduces risk. That's it. There's nothing 100% effective. There's nothing 0% effective. It's all mitigating risk. But they don't understand that because it's all black and white to them.
Well, let's bring this segment to conclusion with the closing thoughts of Dana Milbank. Every week, it seems, brings fresh confirmation of basic truths about the pandemic that have long been obvious to all except those consuming the disinformation of the Trumpy right. Here are the conclusions that the rest of us came to. Vaccines work, masks work, but conspiracy theories, they don't. Last week, a new CDC study confirmed that, shocker, masks prevent illness. A study of the Arkansas school districts found that those with full mask requirements had 23% lower incidence of COVID-19 among students and staff compared to districts with no mask requirements. And those with partial mask requirements were in between. And those that switched from no mask to masks had reduced illness. And before that, a pair of studies late last month added evidence to the original belief that the virus emerged in late 2019 in a wet market in Wuhan. Though the matter isn't settled, the findings make the scenario that the virus was spread accidentally or intentionally by a lab in Wuhan, an incendiary accusation recklessly trumpeted by Trump, DeSantis, Fox News, and the like, considerably less likely. Falsehood flies, Jonathan Swift wrote, and truth comes limping after it. The truth has taken the lead for those who care. Alas, for some of those who accepted the lies that DeSantis and the other leaders told about vaccines, masks, and cures, it's too late. They're already dead.
In Dane County was the only county in the entire state of Wisconsin that had a mask mandate in place.
Our death rate significantly lower here.
Funny enough, how'd that work out?
Dodge County, a lot higher. Even Waukesha County, our beloved Waukesha, death rate significantly higher than in Dane County, where the vast majority of people, we get it. We believe.
Rates of stubbornness is also pretty much high in Waukesha County too. But anyway,
do you think it will make a nice bumper sticker? I think I might start selling these. GOP Red equals COVID dead. I think it'll stick. I think it bears repeating. Come back with us. The Tuesday edition, Devils Afghan Radio. The phones are open. 844-967-2789.
The number of the day, like vanilla bean, the number of the day is 16.
We have seen a small increase in deaths, which is a good thing.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Birthday parties.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Getting back to the moments we miss starts with getting informed. Get the latest info about COVID-19 vaccines at getvaccineanswers.org. It's up to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
President Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election.
Collectively, Republicans got 1.661 million votes, 51,000 more votes than Trump got.
He exhausted his cases. He exhausted the court challenges.
All the Republicans voted for Trump the way they voted for the assembly candidates. He would have won.
It was not rigged. It was not stolen. Donald Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election. It's really clear.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org.
Cardall put out these weird, sad videos interviewing incapacitated elders in their nursing homes that don't have the ability to say, don't use me as your political prop.
If they are what you say they are, then you shouldn't be doing it how you did it.
Yes, it was the kids using the parents as props. Well, my old man hasn't talked since 76. Of course, he would have voted for Trump. That's the evidence. Videos. People that can't talk.
It is wrong. So it's absolutely dirty. Wrong.
Check out the entire podcast library at darnwi.com.
Spruce up your home with soy candles from Wisco Home Goods. I'm Don, one of the owners of this family-owned Midwestern business in Madison, Wisconsin. Our candles are 100% sustainable and come in a variety of unique blends and scents. Did you know our candle jars are also double old-fashioned glasses? That's right, buy a candle and you get a free cocktail glass. Check out our blog at wiscohomegoods.com/blog for more information. That's wiscohomegoods.com/blog.
It's rising. Rising. I'm just getting low.
The devil's advocates may not agree on much, but funny is funny.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Perhaps a 2 for Tuesday. You know, thematically, we'll try to pair them together. How does this one relate to Let the Bodies Hit the Floor?
Well, this song, It's Raining Men, and Let the Bodies Hit the Floor are talking about the same event, but from a different perspective.
Oh, I see what you
So
did
It's Raining
there.
Men and Let the Bodies Hit the Floor, my friend.
Well, it's probably primarily Trump-loving men dying of the COVID-19. And that's how we started the show. You know, the numbers are in. And ultimately, on this show, occasionally, I get it wrong. I am corrected by new information. Something comes to my attention. Let's call it a credible source. And it demonstrates to me that, you know, a strongly or not even strongly held belief, yeah, maybe I was wrong. I misread something. I misremembered. Somewhere along the line, I just, you know, got a bad connection. So anyways, I
do believe you might be building character in front of us.
Well, you know, I'll let you know the first time it happens, but if I ever got it wrong, I would correct the record. I would correct my own belief system. But when you see the numbers, and they're so stark about the deaths related to COVID-19, Vicki McKenna, right-wing talk radio host here in the state of Wisconsin, I see her out at one of these actually, it was a Stop the Steal rally. I mean, the same people that don't believe in masks, don't believe in the outcome of the last electoral college vote either, because they're the Trumpsters, right? They're the Trump believing. They're the MAGA faithful, the sheepless, I like to call them. Well, I see Vicki McKenna, and, you know, Dom called me on, well, Vicki hugged you. Yeah, kind of, she did. And I didn't stiff arm her. I let her hug me. But then I asked her, hey, Vicki, you been vaccinated? Hell no. Yeah, she's vaping along, you know, understanding that COVID, primarily a respiratory disease. Hell no. Wasn't vaxxed. I said, Vicki, you know, let me just ask you, what if in this rare case you got the facts wrong? You know, maybe you're on the wrong side of history. What's the downside of getting vaccinated and being, you know, wrong? So what? You got vaccinated. You didn't die of COVID. I'm not doing that. I'll take my chances. You know, a lot of people did. They took their chances and they lost that bet. They were all in and they went belly up, sometimes literally belly up.
Sometimes you've been intubated for an entire month and then you have learned nothing from it.
Andre Jacques, state senator from the great state of Wisconsin.
Talking to God for a good old month or so and still came back and went,
Well, why would I look at the math or my own personal outcome? You know, God, it's God's blood that shielded him, or, you know, God's respirator or something. You know, the Cadillac healthcare system he got from the people, the taxpayers, you know, that some of us aren't eligible for because we're not electeds. One of those things saved his fat ass.
Well, if he didn't, if he didn't make it, God would, St. Peter be sitting there going, hey, I sent you a vaccine and 2 boosters. I don't know what else to tell you.
I'm pretty sure he wouldn't be having that conversation with St. Peter. Know what I'm saying? 844-967-2789.
The blankness of space then. All right.
I think there is something evil, you know, because so many of these guys know better. They do know better. Republicans know better. Fox News, I mean, they mandate that their hosts get vaccinated. These Republicans know better. The very same Republicans that would, in many cases, I can't say entirely, you know, I know the Ron Johnsons of the world are probably not vaccinated, but there are plenty of people that would go on media and tell you, well, you know, I wouldn't do it. Except I did, but I'm not going to tell you that because I don't give a damn about you. I only care about me. Ask Ron DeSantis if he's been vaccinated. Ask him. Ask him if he's been boosted. See if he gives you a straight answer.
With these wonderful, amazing free market Republicans, you'd think that they'd realize that they need consumers to make money.
Well,
I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
Let me throw up a circumstance that might sort of make that point for you. Trump scrambles at damage control after being caught grifting MAGA supporters with a phony contest. Now, I don't know if any of you are on the Donald Trump email reception list, again, from the Super PAC, again, from the Office of 45. You know, he's not officially a candidate yet, although he's been sued. They're trying to force him to declare himself. But so often it's 6 times, 600 times. I mean, these multiples. Give now and it'll multiply itself 100 times, or 600-700% match. It's always a match. Or it's a contest. Give now and you will be eligible to have dinner with the big guy, probably at Mar-a-Lago, but perhaps at a town near you. Coming to a rally, let's say in New Orleans, coming to your town. Well, Donald Trump released a statement on Saturday attempting damage control after being caught fundraising off a phony contest. I know this is a shocker, Fancy. Former President Donald Trump's political group sent at least 15 emails in recent weeks offering small dollar donors the chance to win a coveted prize if they gave money. Dinner with Trump in New Orleans on a Saturday night. Now, that was according to the reporting of the Washington Post. But no such winner was flown to New Orleans last weekend, according to 4 people familiar with the matter. No flight or very nice hotel was booked. Trump had no individual meetings with small dollar donors. Instead, only privately greeting a handful of Republican Party donors who gave, the whopper checks, the big checks, taking pictures with some of the party's most well-heeled members, and speaking to a larger group of donors who each gave tens of thousands of dollars. Now, according to Trump's spokesperson, President Trump has awarded more than 100 prizes to contest winners across America. But due to an administrative error in this individual circumstance, the contest winner was not properly notified for last weekend's event in New Orleans. Consistent with the rules of the sweepstakes, a substitute prize will be awarded to the winner, probably a MAGA hat. What do you think? A MAGA hat?
Probably at best, and I bet you it's not even made in the United States.
Well, I started with GOP Red equals COVID dead. Here's another one. It was going to end with Trump grift you. Come back, more devils. Damn it.
I don't think the heavy stuff's going to come down for quite a while.
It's tremendously big and tremendously wet.
You know what? I'll tell you something. There's nothing better than a hot sausage, a couple 2-3 cold beers, and Devil Radio on a box.
Hi, this is Brad from Zero Res. If you need someone to help with your carpet cleaning, business or residence, please give us a call. We have the best system available and an amazing team of friendly technicians. Call us at 848-9000 or schedule online at zeroresmadison.com.
This is Chad Spate. In 1992, I moved to Madison to pursue a PhD at UW, and I started a residential remodeling company called Chad's Carpentry. I was eager to make a difference, to change the world, and I soon realized that our remodeling company was a great place to start. We pride ourselves on understanding how houses work so that your home improvement project actually improves your home, and we love what we do. To learn more, go to chadsdesignbuild.com, and thank you, Madison, for 30 great years.
Listen to the Empowered Caregiver Show each Saturday and Sunday morning at 9 a.m. with hosts Liza Hellenbrand and Kristen Voss.
Right here on Devil Radio 92.7, WTTN 1580 AM, and the Devil Radio.
Coronavirus update. I'm Ed Donahue with an AP News Minute. Stocks finished higher. The Dow up 599 points. Pfizer is seeking approval for a 4th coronavirus dose.
The AP has learned that drug maker Pfizer is expected to ask for authorization this week for an additional COVID-19 booster shot for seniors. That's according to a person familiar with the matter who spoke on the condition of anonymity. That would add a 4th dose to the regimen, which currently consists of a primary series of 2 shots, followed months later by a booster dose. This is all in an effort to provide maximum protection to the over 65 population that has been hit hardest by the pandemic. The Food and Drug Administration and the CDC must approve the request. I'm Shelley Adler.
The federal government is going to provide more than $2 billion to help cover funeral costs for more than 300,000 families of people who have died from the coronavirus. I'm Ed Donahue.
Do you want the best for your car? Then fill up with premium at Circle K. Circle K Premium is our best fuel with double the cleaning detergent, protecting your engine from corrosion and damage so it can work at its best. And that, my friend, increases your mileage for more cha-ching in your pocket. Plus, when you fill up with premium at Circle K, you can save up to 20 cents per gallon. Offer valid Thursdays or Fridays at participating stores. For details, visit CircleK.com. Circle K, how convenient.
You're always up for some fun with the family, so you order the essentials, a new board game, some baking supplies, and even a new projector for outdoor movie night. And with the Bank of America customized Cash Rewards credit card, you can choose to earn 3% cash back on online shopping, which could increase to up to 5.25% as a preferred rewards member. Rewards which you can put toward an extra treat that everyone will enjoy, like an old-fashioned popcorn machine. Visit bankofamerica.com/more rewarding and apply now. Copyright 2021 Bank of America Corporation.
For Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM. I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. The Evers administration began issuing Wisconsin Help for Homeowners grants last week to eligible Wisconsin households at or below 100% of the area median income for their household size. The state program is using more than $92 million of federal pandemic relief funds to assist Wisconsinites struggling with mortgage and utilities payments amid the COVID-19 pandemic. The Wisconsin program will not take advantage of federal guidelines to increase household eligibility to 150% of the median income for socially disadvantaged individuals due to a threatened lawsuit by the conservative Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty. The Milwaukee Bucks defeated the Utah Jazz last night 117-111 in Milwaukee's first win in the state of Utah since 2001. The Bucks remain on the West Coast to play the Sacramento Kings tomorrow evening at 9 p.m. Central Time. You're listening to Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
The big and tall of political talk, the Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Tuesday edition. And we led it today, Fancy Brian, with what GOP Red equals COVID dead. You know, if you live in 14 or 16 of the leading COVID death states, you got a Republican governor. And if you live in the lowest area of COVID mortality, you probably have a Democratic governor, just statistically. So, you know, certain things start being borne out by these statistics, let's say. And I would say Donald Trump knows, and you can see it from the mortality rates. I mean, the fact that he effectively allowed or encouraged, or perhaps discouraged would be the word, discouraged his followers from wearing masks. Hell, barely encouraged them to get vaccinated until he was former President Trump, right? And right-wing talk radio.
I don't want to create a panic.
Yeah, right-wing talk radio. They're still out there. And it's beyond propaganda. I mean, this is deadly propaganda. When you start bringing supposed healthcare professionals on to completely contradict what the statistical facts tell us, if you don't get vaccinated, you're far more likely to die. If you live in a red state where there's a low vaccination percentage, you're far more likely to die. And also, if you were a supporter of Donald Trump, why? And oh yeah, the man's going to grift you or fleece you if he can. So this newest take, and here's my clever on that one, Fancy Brian. They called it an administrative error. You know, it flew into New Orleans and never actually awarded a contest winner, even though they had sent out 15 different email asks across this entire database. It wasn't like 15 people got the email. They all got the email 15 different times. Give money and you can have dinner with Trump.
I don't think it was an administrative error as much as a lack of administrative priority.
Well, I would call it.
They didn't care.
Well, much like, you know, I did my little equal signs. GOP Red equals COVID dead. How about this? Administrative error, and it doesn't rhyme, but equals Trump grift. Trump grift. He was just grifting. He never intended to award a prize. The fact they got called on it, that just gets in the way. That's just an inconvenience. Oh, you know,
we had like a long history of him doing the exact same thing with literally every product he's ever tried to push.
What, screwed people, grifted them?
Yeah.
Fleeced them,
It's a long history, folks.
Defrauded them. I mean, you could say I'm being inflammatory or hyperbolic, but no, he's literally, look at the Trump University.
The only legit business that he's ever done is the fake legit business that the producer of The Apprentice made it seem like he did. That's the most legit business that he did, was faking that he was an executive on a fake reality show.
I thought he was good at that.
No, he
Faking.
wasn't. He was
faking part.
He was absolutely horrible at it. In fact, when it came down to having to fire someone, he wouldn't watch the rest of the episode. He wouldn't see what happened during the week. He'd just show up, pick someone to fire, and then the producers, Mark Burnett, would have to go and make it seem like he knew what he was talking about, and then edit it in post to make it look like that person needed to be fired. It happened all the time because the guy didn't bother to go and put any work into his own fake company.
You're acting like some people prep for shows.
Hey, at least we care enough to try and put one on.
844-967-2789. Nothing but the best callers, listeners, like Andy from Beaver Dam. How you doing, Andy?
Well, not too bad. I'm licking my wounds. Fancy Brian, nice job on tweaking the transmission.
Yeah, 540. You can hear it, man. I drove all the way to Milwaukee and back today just to listen to the louder, clearer sounds of 540 a.m.
Right. It's no matter where you go, it's coming in. You got southern Wisconsin covered. You remember the pizza guy in Tulsa? 9999. What was that guy's name?
Herman Cain, the
Herman
now departed
Cain.
dead pizza guy from Tulsa. He was a presidential candidate, a right-wing talk radio host, although I guess it'd be inaccurate to call him whitey righty, but he was conservative. He was actually syndicated by the same guy that syndicates Stephanie Miller.
Oh, really? Wow.
You Becky, stand.
And he died apparently from COVID contracted at a Trump rally.
That would be the assumption, and that would be right. Incidentally, now Dodge County finally did a milestone. I think 50% of the people in Dodge County at least have had one shot. And that's after 2 years now, or how long has it been available? A little over a year, I guess. 14 months, 15 months, whatever it is, the vaccine. But at any rate, yeah, we have a lot of...
Relative to population, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I've specifically looked at Dodge County before. Andy, it always had too high a mortality rate relative to population. I mean, I felt bad for Waukesha County. It was relative to population. I believe Waukesha County is running like twice the mortality rate of Dane County. But then you get up into Dodge County, man, and it is brutal, brutal. Way higher. It's like West Virginia numbers.
Right. Well, and then you and your wife braved Mayville to see the band or the play.
But man, I'm vaxxed. I'm boosted. I'm feeling pretty good about life.
Shape, yeah.
Well, I don't know about good shape, but I'm vaxxed and I'm boosted.
Yeah. Did you have a couple of glasses of wine up there?
No wine, lots of rum. Rum and tum. Yeah, I had a great time this weekend, Andy. And sometimes, I say I had a good time, but it was just okay. This weekend was freaking awesome, man. I had a great time.
That's beautiful.
In Mayville, beautiful Mayville, Wisconsin.
Oh, yeah.
And, it struck me just by the tone of the audience. And, we had comedians. So, some of the jokes bordered on political fare. And, judging by the tone of the audience, I thought it was at least 60-40, 70-30 lefties. The righties were all down at the honky tonk. The lefties were enjoying the fine comedy musings of my pal Dobie.
Right. They were slightly more cultured than the
slightly understanding the stage was a 4x4 carpeted wooden box with a 60-watt light bulb, and the plug was running down the side of the stage. So defined culture, but the comedians were damn good, Andy.
Well, that's great. I'm glad to hear it.
Funny if not amplified properly.
No, well, you could give them pointers, being that you're in the broadcast and communications.
Oh, that's what all professionals love. is when some random drunk from the crowd comes up and gives them unsolicited advice. But you know, you know me, Andy. I actually did.
Yeah.
I actually did.
Yeah. Oh, God, it's all right. Well, have a good day, boys. I'm listening, but I'm not always calling. But we're on it.
Well, Andy, I'm just glad you're feeling good and healthy and spry up there in Dodge County. You know, got to be careful. The vaccination rate, someone just told me, barely reached 50% up there. Someone said that on the phone one time. Must be true. It happened on the Devil's Advocate show.
Well, that's how you know it's true.
I'm not even sure if they've reached 50%. 844-967-2789. I would never doubt my buddy Andy, but you know, verify. It's worth the Google. Wisco Paul, how you doing, man?
Hey, Crudy. I just want to say something on the caller you had yesterday. I do believe his name was Gary. And I just want to pass this on to your listeners. When we had the Act 10, the 2011 protest down in Madison, I was there, and I used to rally to the Teamsters Semi.
Gary from Sussex basically analogized it was an insurrection. Why is that any different than what they did on January 6th at the U.S. Capitol? That was what bothered you, Paul?
Yes, it did, because I was there, and it was totally peaceful. And we marched around and said, "This is what democracy looks like." Nobody hit anybody. Nobody had any guns. It was what you're able to do in a free democracy. And I take it back what he said. That is no comparison to January 6th, and I might add what the Republican Party is still doing, calling it a fake election. That was good people down there, and it just really calls me to think that I as a protester at that time am compared to the January 6th protesters. And I will say another thing. I didn't know him at the time, but I remember Pizza Box, who is a good man, and I consider him a friend, with his signs down there, he was just a super dude, what he did down there. And now I know him, but at the time I didn't. But I just want to make this point, and I think you were there, Crudy, that there was no violence. Nobody had guns, and it was just a bunch of union guys that got together to protect state unions and the teachers unions, and it was all on the up and up. The only person I know that was probably scared was the former governor.
Yeah, Wainker.
If my memory serves me right, he wouldn't even come out and face the people. He ran around in tunnels, and he's a coward. So, Gary, I want you really actually ticked me off yesterday when you said that, because there's, I'm not going to go any further, because it's something I did, and it was all on the up and up, and I actually was proud to be there. So, all my Teamster brothers. And
Wisco, I never saw a single published report about you crapping in the Wisconsin State Capitol like they did at the nation's capital. I mean, there's a certain line when you start defecating and wiping it on the walls. That's what the true patriots do. Real quick, the Dodge County mortality rate, and we've got cases in Dodge County of 27,000, round numbers, and 319 deaths out of 27,000 cases. Now, Milwaukee County has 10 times as many cases, almost numerically 10 times as many, 267,000 cases in relatively blue Milwaukee County. Over 2,000 dead, 2,170, which is about 6 times as many as Dodge County. But here's what's really sad. Dane County, 123,000 positive COVID tests compared to 27,000 in Dodge County. Dodge County had 319 dead. Dane County, 491. 5 times as many cases and nearly as many deaths in Dodge County. So you can say, well,
but freedom. The good thing that
that freedom's killing those people.
Those dead people will know that, at least it was freedom, and that it was all fake. At least the dead people know that it was fake and it was just a hoax, and it was just because people wanted to feel better about themselves.
Well, it was their own personal way of saying F Joe Biden. They stuck it to Joe
that way. He knows now.
Waukesha County, by the way, second greatest death rate, mortality rate numerically in the state of Wisconsin. Now, Waukesha County has over 1,000 dead. Milwaukee County is over 2,000 dead. Waukesha County had 111,000. Again, Dane County, 123,000, less than half as many mortalities, 491. Now, we broadcast, Fancy Brad, you're in Waukesha County. You're in downtown Waukesha right now. But we just got there, man. We haven't changed the science or the politics, not yet. But it's pretty sad to think that our Republican friends in Waukesha are literally allowing themselves to die of a preventable illness by failing to get a vaccine. The math speaks for itself. Just go look at the math. Don't trust Crudy. Vicky, I know you would never trust my math, but go look it up. Look up the math. And then just consider getting a vaccine. If you haven't done it yet, I don't think I'm going to convince you, but the math is in, and the math says do it. Come back, Devil's Advocates. Stick around. Just do it.
I wanted to always play it down. I still like playing it down because I don't want to create a panic.
I don't care what drug will work. Try a bunch of them.
Right, and then I see the disinfectant. Why not gargle?
You Becky, stand.
Steven.
Who said that?
Me, down here.
Ugh, what are you, a yellow booger?
I'm a banana slug, Steven.
What are you doing in my room?
I'm your sense of adventure. It's been a long time since we've had an adventure in the forest.
Mom took me to the forest last year.
I'm a slug, Steven. It took me a long time to get here.
You're right. I should get out.
Yeah, the forest is not that far away.
Hey, Mom!
Come to the forest where the more adventurous you lives. Check out discovertheforest.org for cool places nearby. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Treat yourself to some Wisco Home Goods natural lotions or sugar scrub in 2022. I'm Don, one of the owners of this family-owned Midwestern business in Madison, Wisconsin. Our natural hand soaps, lotions, and sugar scrubs offer you the luxury you deserve. Wisco Home Goods self-care products come in a variety of scents you're sure to love. So go on, add a little pampering to your daily routine. Order at wiscohomegoods.com. Natural, healthy, nourishing self-care and more at wiscohomegoods.com.
The Devil's Advocates, because freedom.
But Don, we've been following a couple of big stories this week. Truck convoy leader has no idea where he is and is driving in circles around I-495. He didn't know precisely where he was going anyways or where he was at the time. Apparently, he put the convoy back on the road, headed back up north, and he's back in Scranton. So
I totally would have protested this tyranny, but damn, the traffic was so bad.
Follow the Devil's Advocates on Facebook and Twitter.
Hi, folks. This is Kirk Bankstad at the Minocqua Brewing Company, and I am proud to introduce you to Choice, our new pink grapefruit flavored hard seltzer. Choice was made in collaboration with Planned Parenthood of Wisconsin, and 5% of the proceeds from every can goes to support them and their fight for reproductive freedom. Choice hard seltzer tastes great and comes in at only 105 calories per can. Go to our website, MinocquaBrewingCompany.com, to find where you can buy Choice hard seltzer.
The Devil's Advocates, never personal, only politics.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Tuesday edition. Couple of more statistics. I know how people love them on the radio. A couple of more statistics. The vaccination rates here in the counties in the great state of Wisconsin. And want to thank PT, although I still call you Paul because you can't give yourself a moniker, PT. You either, E-Bone. But here's what I do think is important. Thank you, Paul, for sharing. and I did find some of my own statistics as well. The vaccination rate in Dane County. Dane County is the home of Madison, Wisconsin, the capital city, and my home for much of the last 50 years. Now, Dane County, Wisconsin has at least one shot in the arm at 86% and fully vaccinated, boosted at nearly 82% of the population. Now, my pal Andy, who lives up in Dodge County, Wisconsin, that's like 2 counties to the north of us. It's the 5th congressional district. Scott Fitzgerald, the congressman there, he's a big Trumper. But Dodge County, 52% one shot of the population of about 88,000. About 46,000 of them have one shot, and about 44,000 have 2 shots. And statistically, that's less than 50%, but just barely, Andy, just barely. 50% fully vaccinated. And the mortality rates are nearing a county, 5, almost 6 times as large population-wise. Similar mortality rates as a population 6 times larger. And the greatest difference between those 2 fine counties, other than the fact I live in this one and Scott Fitzgerald lives in the other one, well, the biggest difference is the vaccination rates. And of course, the governance.
Yeah. And
mask mandates, etc.
If you live in a Republican-controlled state, your state is probably poorer. Your state is probably more deadly. And your state probably benefits the upper 1% way more than everybody else.
Well, here's the good news. You're more likely to die sooner, so you don't have to live under Republican governance as long. What an up. It's a win-win.
Imagine if they just started, trying to solve the actual problems instead of, making up fake ones.
Well, we got some real problems in our backyard, and I've got to update you at least briefly on a Wisconsin-based problem. Then we'll get back to the phones, 844-967-2789. The false Trump electors, the fraudulent Trump electors will pay no consequence in the state of Wisconsin, at least according to the Wisconsin Elections Commission. That is the bipartisan 3 Dems, 3 Republicans, and it's set up that way to stalemate and be feckless and toothless. Well, here's a little story about how they ruled today. Patrick Marley, the State Elections Commission unanimously, that means the 3 Dems were on board, decided not to sanction 10 Republicans, including one of their own commissioners, for falsely claiming to be presidential electors in 2020, according to a letter released today. The decision comes as scrutiny falls on Republicans around the country who sent paperwork to the National Archives purporting to be members of the Electoral College, even though Donald Trump had lost the election in their states. See Wisconsin. Among the 6 commissioners who concluded there was no evidence of election violations was the fraudulent elector himself, Bob Spindell. Very convenient. Got to be his own judge and jury. Who is one of the 10 Republicans who posed as an elector in 2020? That's what the author writes. Now, attorney Jeff Mandel, a Madison attorney who filed the complaint against the false electors, said he was disappointed, as am I, Jeff, by the commission's decision and was considering appealing it to a circuit court. The commission's ruling ensures that supporters of whoever loses the next presidential election will cobble together sets of false electors, he said. They're inviting this to happen every time. Mandel said it was inappropriate for Spindell to participate in a decision given that he was one of the targets of the complaint. Yeah, that could be a problem. By the way, Joe Biden won the state of Wisconsin, about 21,000 votes, had a recount, and a couple of audits. Now we got a crazy investigation going on. But anyways, apparently it's just swell. And, I got a couple of friends on that board, including Mark Thompson, did a show last night, the Paul Revere show. Off the air, I'm going to ask him, what are you doing, Mark? But on the air, I'm asking for your fine phone calls at 844-967-2789. Let's get to them. Bobby from Eau Claire, you're next. What do you got for us, Bobby?
Oh, hey, I enjoy your show. I just want to say that first. Were you just talking about as far as vaccines go, just the last segment before this one? And you're saying, what's the difference in these counties? So I'm up here in Eau Claire, and I've been calling this place a blue island for a long time, right? Because we are. Eau Claire is really blue. Everything around us is like the Red Dead Sea, right? But it's getting worse up here, and that's because media. As we've consolidated the TV stations and are becoming way less local, they're all owned by, oh my God, no, I'm going to forget it.
It's Sinclair, isn't it? Are they Sinclair stations?
Yeah, they own all the media up here, and they own it. Oh, clear to Wausau, like they're consolidating all these stations, and they're a conservative media group, right? So it's not like 100% evident. Like I still watch WEAU, which is the NBC affiliate here. And it's not like I'm watching Fox News per se, but there's a slant to everything they do. And then made worse, of course, is Fox News itself. But we have something up here called Hometown Media now. And it's a new little startup company. And I like the idea of a new local startup company, but they're ultra conservative. And it's the grossest thing I've ever seen. So I'm just waiting for us to turn into like the backwoods of West Virginia now. It's really, really awful. So everybody listening in Madison, when you see assembly races and state senate races in these areas outside of Madison, I mean, they're little blue islands, and some of them are already red. Throw a few bucks, like help a candidate out, because like we're so screwed up here, and it's only getting worse. It is way getting worse, and we're desperate. So there's my plea to all you Madison folks.
Bobby, Eau Claire County, vaccination rates, one dose, about 64.59%, two doses, about 62%. Relative to the state, that's not so bad. I mean, we've got some counties way down in the 40s.
We're really blue, but look at Dunn County, which is right next to us. Look at Dunn County.
Yeah, Dunn County. Let me do so. Dunn County, well, 52%, under 50% of completely vaccinated folks. Door County, nearly 80%. That is also northernish Wisconsin. That's like Russ Feingold's thumb on the hand. Bobby, thanks for listening. Thanks for calling. We'll take more of your phone calls. Hour 2 is next. 844-967-2789. Got lots of stuff to talk about with you. And then my little buddy, Dominic, he's joining in the 5 o'clock, the happier happy hour. But we're not done yet. Dominic, he's a long ways away. So I'm going to need you for the next hour. And you as well, Fancy Brian, and you, Evan, and all you callers. Once again, 844-96-PARTY.
Believe me.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
You're going to be dead.
This week's Matt Flynn Direct is all about Waukesha. Hi, I'm Alderman Don Brown, host of This Week in Waukesha, and I'll be filling in for Matt and talking all things Waukesha, including our incredible South basketball team. Join us for a special St. Patrick's Week with Waukesha's favorite Irishman. That's me.
This is Rocker, and I'm sitting here on the patio at Salvatore's Tomato Pies, freezing my butt off. So I'm headed next door to the Dark Horse Art Bar for a Rocker Rye whiskey to warm me up. It's a high rye with just a touch of malted barley. It's yummy. Find Rocker Spirits at Festival Foods on East Wash and Woodman's grocery stores. You must be 21. Please drink responsibly.
Stream Progressive News and Talk 24/7, as well as download exclusive podcasts and interviews at devilradio927.com. That's devilradio927.com.
You are listening to WTTN 1580 AM Columbus, W224 EG Madison, always streaming on the Devil Radio app.
AP News. I'm Ed Donahue. President Biden signed a bill that includes more than $13 billion to help Ukraine in the war with Russia.
We're moving urgently to further augment the support to the brave people of Ukraine as they defend their country.
But Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell says the president isn't moving urgently enough, and the president believes any effort to help Ukrainians is provocative to the Russians.
Look, the provocation's already occurred. The war is underway.
President Biden will travel to Brussels next week for a summit on Ukraine. Russian attacks have hit an apartment building and a subway station in Kyiv. An estimated 20,000 people have left the besieged city of Mariupol. Julia Likovich recently bought an apartment with her husband in Kharkiv. She arrived on a bus in Romania.
I love my city. It's very beautiful.
James Elder at the UN Children's Fund says a lot of children are on the move.
Every day, over the past 20 days in Ukraine, more than 70,000 children have become refugees. Okay, that's every minute 55 children fleeing the country.
NATO's Jens Stoltenberg is worried what might happen next.
We are concerned that Moscow could stage a false flag operation, possibly including chemical weapons.
The Senate unanimously approved a measure that would make daylight saving time permanent across the country next year. A prosecutor says no charges will be filed against the Chicago police officers who chased and fatally shot 13-year-old Adam Toledo and 22-year-old Anthony Alvarez within days of each other last year, prompting sharp criticism on how the department handles foot pursuits. A new study says climate change will continue to make allergy season longer and more intense. Oil prices are lowering and stocks are rising. The Dow gained 599 points. This is AP News.
Do you want the best for your car? Then fill up with premium at Circle K. Circle K Premium is our best fuel with double the cleaning detergent, protecting your engine from corrosion and damage so it can work at its best. And that, my friend, increases your mileage for more cha-ching in your pocket. Plus, when you fill up with premium at Circle K, you can save up to 20 cents per gallon. Offer valid Thursdays or Fridays at participating stores. For details, visit CircleK.com. Circle K, how convenient.
You're always up for some fun with the family, so you order the essentials, a new board game, some baking supplies, and even a new projector for outdoor movie night. And with the Bank of America customized Cash Rewards credit card, you can choose to earn 3% cash back on online shopping, which could increase to up to 5.25% as a preferred rewards member. Rewards which you can put toward an extra treat that everyone will enjoy, like an old-fashioned popcorn machine. Visit bankofamerica.com/more rewarding and apply now. Copyright 2021 Bank of America Corporation.
When you're gonna turn on the radio, you gotta listen to Devil Radio 92.7.
We all know Wisconsin's favorite cocktail. That's right, the Bloody Mary. And Wisconsin bar and restaurants are the best at it. And now it's time for a standoff. Who makes the best Bloody Mary? Find out who wins at Downdren's first annual Bloody Mary Fest on March 26th from 11 to 2 p.m. Taste Bloody Marys from up to 25 local bars and restaurants. And do it with your own custom tasting glass. It's Downdren's first annual Bloody Mary Fest. Enjoy music and purchase from local food trucks. March 26th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. To purchase tickets and to find out more, go to downdrensdistilling.com. You must be 21. Drink responsibly.
President Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election.
Collectively, Republicans got 1.661 million votes, 51,000 more votes than Trump got.
He exhausted his cases. He exhausted the court challenges.
All the Republicans voted for Trump the way they voted for the assembly candidates. He would have won.
It was not rigged. It was not stolen. Donald Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election. It's really clear.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org.
Hey, Darcy, I just saw the perfect house. Can you help me write an offer on it?
I'd be happy to, Brian. Did you see it at an open house?
No, I just called the sign and had the agent show it to me. I didn't want to bug you.
Right. How many times have you heard me say don't call the sign?
All of them.
You called the agent working for the seller, and once you see the property with that agent, I'm no longer free to write an offer on it.
So
you need to hire us from the beginning, help you find the right home, negotiate on your behalf, and protect your interests all the way through the process, and it shouldn't cost you a dime.
Solidarity Realty. They're real, they're solid, and they're honest. Find them at solidarityrealty.com.
It could be. It might be. It is Devil Radio 92.7.
For Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. According to the Dane County Traffic Safety Commission, 48 people were killed on county roads last year, a 33% increase compared to the past 5 years. In half of those fatal crashes, motorists were speeding. The commission stated the increase of fatal crashes due to motorists under the influence and speeding have prompted local officials to explore methods to prevent deadly accidents in Dane County. On Monday, the U.S. Department of Agriculture announced the bird flu has been confirmed in a commercial chicken operation in southern Jefferson County. The flock will be euthanized and none of the chicken will enter the food system. A mix of clouds and sunshine throughout the day with light and variable winds and a high today of 56 degrees. Mostly clear skies expected this evening with continued light winds and an overnight low of 37 degrees. You're listening to Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
Devil Radio programming is produced live in the Solidarity Realty studios. Find them at solidarityrealty.com. Solidarity Realty. There is an alternative.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves and corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. 3, 2, 1. Now live from the Devil Radio studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning. Welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Here is your host, Mike Crute.
Welcome back. Hour 2 of the Devil's Advocate Radio Show. Got a little tickle. Hope it doesn't bother me for long. Perhaps I'll cough it out. I didn't even sneak out back with, the boys like they do during the commercial breaks.
I can't.
The whole time doing my job.
Want to, can't.
Preparing for another hour of radio greatness with you, our fair audience. But it can't be great without you, our fair audience, at 844-967-2789. Fancy Brian. A lot of U.S. corporations walking away from Russia, at least in the now sense. My understanding is McDonald's Corporation. They're pulling the Big Macs. Well, there's one corporation that's taking it differently. They're not exiting Russia because apparently the Russians can appreciate a good pizza or a pizza from Papa John's.
Oh, great.
Yeah, Papa John's, they're not leaving Russia. They're staying. Well, here's the reason why. Fancy Brian, you may not know this. Papa John's, in no small part, owned by Russians. It's going to make
that's fun
boycott a little bit awkward. So let me read briefly from the Hill. What was your thought?
I was just wondering how that happened, but you have
Papa
a
John's
story.
Makes great pizza. I'm pretty sure that's not the explanation.
Look, they hooked me in college, and look, I have an inexplicable
Papa John's.
Yeah, they hooked me in. It was perfect. It was affordable
I could
in college.
See Little Caesars, the pizza concept. I could see why you would like the.
No, I could get into that, but Papa John's actually was flourishing when I was in college, and it was perfect for everything I needed. And so I have a nostalgic thing with them. And sure, I'll tolerate some Papa John's every now and then when I need to go and get some, pizza and stuff. But now I'm definitely going to rethink this. Hooray! Go Russian Papa John's.
Remember at the old shop, not the world headquarters here on University Avenue, where apparently an ambulance or a fire truck drives by every couple of seconds. But remember, Slammer used to bring me crazy bread.
Yeah.
Slammer, I miss the crazy bread. I'm just going to put it out there. If you're listening, I could use some over here at the world headquarters, University Ave. You'll find us. Only guys make it super cool radio. But let's talk about Papa John's. Less interested. If you're listening, Slammer, leave me off the Papa John's list. Don't need any of that. About 190 Papa John's stores are still open in Russia, despite the international pizza chain's announcement that it was suspending its corporate operations in the country. Corporate shutdown, but the franchisees, oh no. Apparently, it's over the Russian invasion of Ukraine, if you weren't clear on that. The Papa John's restaurants are primarily owned by Russians through a franchise agreement with the company controlled by Colorado native Christopher Wynn, who told the Times that Russians are clear-headed and understand the dark gravity of the situation they're in, and that at the end of the day, they appreciate a good pizza.
Nothing says dark gravity of a situation like Papa John's pizza.
I'm just having a hard time between making the association with good pizza and Papa John's. I'm sorry. It's just a mental thing I'm going through at the moment. The best thing I can do, here's the quote, as an individual is show compassion for the people, my employees, franchisees, and customers without judging them because of the politicians in power. No, you can't judge those. don't judge them because of the politicians. Judge them because of their affinity for Papa John's. That's what I'm judging them for. Last week, Papa John's announced the suspension of its corporate operations in Russia, joining other high-profile international companies such as Starbucks and McDonald's. The international pizza chain. We're still talking about Papa John's, right? The internet, maybe it's the guy in the commercials. I remember Papa John. He was on like the Super Bowl commercials and stuff. I mean, he kind of wrecked it.
Well, are you
racist thing? I mean,
well, yeah, that he definitely had that. But did you have?
But I didn't like the Papa John's before I knew that the owner was a racist.
Well, that's separate. Those are separate issues. If you don't like the taste of it, that's one thing. But if you like the taste of it, then there's a politics thing issue. You know, if politics is one thing, taste is another. I'm just saying.
Hey, man, there's pizza and there's politics, but this feels like worlds colliding. I'm just saying. Papa John's told the New York Times, in a statement that its decision to suspend operations in Russia was supported by the vast majority of our team members, franchises, and customer around the world. But though the franchise stores, common among large companies operating a high number of locations, may receive support from the parent companies, they're primarily run by franchise owners who have a greater financial interest in keeping individual stores open. So apparently, you can still get the Papa John's all across Russia. Give me the borscht pizza.
I don't even know that that's on the. I don't think it's on the corporate list of things to put on there. That's just and practically speaking, it's a soup, so it'd be more of a sauce.
Well, couldn't you replace the customary marinara with a borscht-based sauce?
Yeah, but
white sauce, Alfredo style.
It's more of a.
I can't.
It's beets. It's made of beets.
Oh, so it's a red sauce.
Oh, it'd have a nice sugary to it, but it's just, well-made borscht is pretty good. But
so you can't beat borscht.
Like it'd be like putting like your I don't like a beef soup on there. Like a it doesn't have like a consistency like a cream sauce does.
I never knew what borscht was. Just a word. And now I know. And, still not hungry, still not curious.
Well, the bush doesn't really make it very, it's yeah.
So anyways, Papa John's still doing business in Russia, not because they want to, they feel like they owe the people pizza, at least the franchisees. So they're staying open. Let's talk about more important, headlines with more gravity, perhaps. Do you know the Proud Boys guy, Enrique Tarrio? Not the former dance instructor guy, but apparently the Proud Boys leader. Prosecutors unveil overwhelming evidence in January 6th conspiracy against the Proud Boys leader, Enrique Tarrio.
Boy, it seems more and more like this was planned, really well planned.
Yes. Let me read briefly. The government sharpened its case. They sharpened it. Sharpened its case against Proud Boys leader Enrique Tarrio, arguing in a memo in support of pretrial detention. That means no bail for you. On Monday, that he imposed a command and control structure on a newly created national rally planning chapter set up to carry out the attack. So there was extensive planning and vetting going on. It's more you can say about the Trump administration. Tarrio, who was the national chairman of the Proud Boys at the time of the January 6th assault on the U.S. Capitol, went before a federal judge in Miami for a detention and removal hearing on Tuesday morning. Do you see when this guy got arrested? This Proud Boys leader, E-Bone saw it. Guy was brought out of the house just like an old Cops episode, wearing his skivvies.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And wow. The guy was...
See, they put me in overalls.
Now, this guy looks tough, when you see him in the photos, he's got the dark shades and the 5 o'clock shadow. But I just got to tell you, I'm a man in my early 50s, and I've got at least as good a physique as this guy does. I mean, he's really out of shape. He's like a puffy guy.
A lot of these guys with the,
I'm only
tough stuff,
puffy. The rest of me is pretty lean.
You push back on them just a little bit. They've never experienced any sort of pushback whatsoever. They melt like little children.
I wonder how he's doing in jail. Let me read a little bit more.
Don't care. I mean, I care about the story, not about his welfare.
Oh, okay. The court filing provides new detail about Tarrio's role in setting up a series of encrypted group chats under the name Ministry of Self-Defense, or MOST, that were used to vet Proud Boys for inclusion in the operation at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. According to the government, Tarrio and other leaders, and here's a quote from the filing of the government, imposed a command and control structure on the new chapter, which included operational and marketing councils. They had marketing councils. We don't have a marketing council. Got to reach out and find out who did the Proud Boys marketing for them, with leaders empowered to handpick Proud Boys to become members of the MSOD. In the court filing on Monday, the government alleged that on January 3rd, 3 days before the attack, one of Tarrio's picks for the MOSD posted a message reading, "Time to stack those bodies in front of the Capitol Hill." Another member is alleged to have asked in the same discussion, "So are the normies and other attendees going to push through police lines and storm the Capitol buildings? A few million versus a few hundred. Captifa should be enough." That's how he described them. The same member, according to the government, raised a scenario that turned out to be prophetic. What would they do if 1 million patriots stormed and took the Capitol building, he wrote. Shoot into the crowd? I think not. According to the government, an unindicted co-conspirator labeled Person 3 and subsequently identified as John Charles Stewart, a member of the Operational Council, responded, "They would do nothing because they can do nothing." The recent court filing also provides a new detail about the meeting between Tarrio and Oath Keepers founder Stuart Rhodes at the hotel parking garage on the eve of the Capitol attack. The meeting took place after Tarrio had been released in order to leave D.C. following the January 4th arrest on charges of burning a Black Lives Matter banner stolen from a black church. Rhodes is currently charged with seditious conspiracy. Tarrio told another individual in the parking garage meeting, sort of like Deep Throat, that according to the government, he had cleared all the messages on his phone before he was arrested, and no one else would be able to get to his phone because there were 2 steps to get into it. 2 steps, count them, 1, 2. Then we'll take a break and we'll come back. Maybe a few more details. Also, the Eau Claire Insurrectionist, the homegrown one, no jail time. Pisses me off. Come back, more devils.
I am taking them to imprison them in prison.
Have you ever been in a Turkish prison?
Hey, I'm Haley Kiyoko, and I know what it's like to struggle with mental health issues. If you have a friend that's going through a tough time, now is the perfect moment to reach out. Learn how to start the conversation at seizetheawkward.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and the JED Foundation.
President Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election.
Collectively, Republicans got 1.661 million votes, 51,000 more votes than Trump got.
He exhausted his cases. He exhausted the court challenges.
All the Republicans voted for Trump the way they voted for the assembly candidates. He would have won.
It was not rigged. It was not stolen. Donald Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election. It's really clear.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org.
Save the $2 on tomorrow's paper. Listen to the Devil's Advocates today.
My senator and yours, Ron Johnson. See a big story about him at the Hill this week in Hill.com. Wisconsin Democrats and Republicans both want Ron to run, but for different reasons. I think some Democrats think, oh, he's just so crazy. Of course we'll beat him, which is what they said about Trump too. Miss that guy? Not much. Not much. He used to come around.
Check out the entire podcast library at darnwi.com.
Spruce up your home with soy candles from Wisco Home Goods. I'm Don, one of the owners of this family-owned Midwestern business in Madison, Wisconsin. Our candles are 100% sustainable and come in a variety of unique blends and scents. Did you know our candle jars are also double old-fashioned glasses? That's right. Buy a candle and you get a free cocktail glass. Check out our blog at wiscohomegoods.com/blog for more information. That's wiscohomegoods.com/blog.
When they go low, we get high. The Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Tuesday edition. Phone lines, they're wide open for your phone calls. 844-967-2789. A little bit earlier, we had Bobby from Eau Claire, Wisconsin calling in. And I would point out, Bobby, we've got a little headline from your backyard. Wisconsin man avoids jail time for role in January 6, 2021 insurrection at the U.S. Capitol. Kevin Daniel Loftus drove from Eau Claire to Washington, D.C. last year to attend a Stop the Steal rally on January 6th, and then followed the mob that broke into the U.S. Capitol. Once inside the rotunda, the 53-year-old machinist and father of two, parent of two, kids must be so proud. I mean, I got arrested at the Wisconsin Capitol for protesting. I mean, I was vindicated. First in the district courts, later in the appellate courts. They're still embarrassed. That was, a vindicated legal First Amendment sanctioned protest. We didn't crap on the Capitol walls.
Yeah, I was arrested for being an idiot, completely deservedly so. And I'll tell my daughter about that to go and show her what an idiot I was and how I learned from it.
Do what I say.
I wonder if these people will do the same.
Do you think he's grounded? Once inside the rotunda, the 53-year-old spent about 5 minutes posing for taking pictures. He later posted on social media with the message, "That's right, folks. Some of us are in it to win it." The real ones, the real patriots, they're in it to win it. His cohorts did not ultimately prevent congressional certification of Joe Biden's victory. Oh yeah, Joe Biden's still the president. And Loftus became one of the more than 750 people charged in the insurrection. He pled guilty in October to Capitol parading, picketing, or demonstrating in the Capitol building, a misdemeanor. So a convicted misdemeanor. At sentencing Tuesday, the prosecutor argued Loftus should spend 30 days in jail. Yeah, at least, in addition to 3 years of probation, 60 hours of community service, and $500 restitution. The attack caused more than $1 million in damage to the U.S. Capitol. Loftus, federal public defender, opposed jail time, citing other defendants who entered the Capitol briefly and were not sentenced to incarceration. Judge Dabney Frederick, who last week presided over the first jury trial from the insurrection, agreed. During a virtual hearing, Frederick said she didn't have the authority to impose both jail and probation for the petty offense, and sentenced Loftus to probation without jail or home detention. Come on, put him on an ankle monitor at least. He will be allowed to serve it in Eau Claire. Be careful, Bobby. Mr. Loftus is up there doing, I guess he's on paper. He's not doing anything. He's just being an insurrectionist that got away with it. Assistant U.S. Attorney Emery Cole argued repeatedly Loftus was an outlier amongst the January 6th defendants convicted of misdemeanors. Cole said Loftus expressed pride in his actions, and his words on social media were meant to encourage others to disrupt the democratic elective process. Cole said Loftus claims he was standing up for all Americans appalling and sad. Frederick noted Loftus didn't plan the Capitol breach, didn't assault anyone or damage property, didn't have any weapons beyond a U.S. flag on a 6-foot pole, and cooperated with the FBI once he was identified. Well, most people cooperate once they've been identified. If the government really thought he was an outlier, she said, it wouldn't have agreed to him pleading guilty to such a low-level offense. He's not the first to say some outrageous things. It's hard to know if it's just to wind people up on the internet or if it's something more serious. It kind of has a history now. He didn't show up at the U.S. Capitol. He was an insurrectionist bastard. So I think we know what his underlying intent might have been. Just saying, Judge. But anyways, probation, a slap on the wrist. He's the right kind of criminal. Right kind of criminal. Want to get back to the Tario guy, the Proud Boys guy. The government is arguing that Tario, unlike the Loftus fella here in Eau Claire, Loftus got no jail time. Tario, he's being held over until trial. The government argues that even after his arrest, Tario continued to direct the conspiracy. After meeting with Rhodes, the government alleges that Tario traveled to Baltimore and, using associates' phones, joined new encrypted chats for the MOSD leaders and members that were set up after the original chats were shut down following his arrest. According to the government, Tario posted at least one message to the new MOSD leaders group chat shortly after midnight on January 6th. The government alleges that communications in the encrypted chats clearly showed that Ethan Nordine and Joe Biggs, Tario's co-defendants, were designed to take charge on the ground. Sorry, I can't read. I need glasses. The two men can be seen in a video filmed by Proud Boys Eddie Block, leading hundreds of Proud Boys from the Washington Monument to the Capitol on January 6th. The government alleges that Nordine's and Biggs were continuously coordinating with and deferring to Tario. As evidence, the government cites a message posted by Biggs in the MOS leaders group chat at 9:17 p.m. on January 5th. Just spoke with Enrique. The court filing also quotes Biggs as saying, "I gave Enrique a plan, the one I told the guys, and he said he had one." It remains unknown who provided the 9-page document outlining plans to occupy government buildings to Tario. Oh, it was a pretty comprehensive plan. It was above and beyond the U.S. Capitol. The Proud Boys, they had a comprehensive plan to go and take multiple buildings, like 50 Proud Boys per building. That was not the plan they acted upon, but the government thinks this man should be held for some lengthy period of time, thinks there's a good probability he's going to be convicted at trial, and thinks there's a good chance he's going to spend some time in prison thereafter. So he's stuck in jail, but Loftus, he's up there looking for a Blue Golders game. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates. More of your phone calls. They're always welcome. 844-967-2789.
Freak out. Anime Blue number 9. Mary had a little lamb.
I am so proud that you are citizens of our country.
I'm really proud of what we've been able to do.
I am proud to shut down the government.
Go get him.
In time, you will know the true power of Devil Radio 92.7. It is your destiny.
Hey, Jimmy, it's Rocker. Meet me at the new Dark Horse Art Bar in East Wash. Happy hour is Tuesday through Saturday, 4 to 6 p.m. You pick the day. 2-for-1 rail drinks and slices of Sal's tomato pies for $1. Jimmy, it's happy hour at the Dark Horse Art Bar, 756 East Washington in Madison, across from the Sylvie.
Madison's newest happy hour, craft cocktail, local art and music. Find out more at the new Dark Horse Art Bar and Gallery, online at darkhorsemadison.com.
This is Rocker, and I'm sitting here on the patio at Salvatore's Tomato Pies, freezing my butt off. So I'm headed next door to the Dark Horse Art Bar for a Rocker Rye whiskey to warm me up. It's a high rye with just a touch of malted barley. It's yummy. Find Rocker spirits at Festival Foods on East Wash and Woodman's grocery stores. You must be 21. Please drink responsibly.
Biden to Europe. I'm Tim McGuire with an AP News Minute. President Biden heads to Brussels next week for NATO and European Union summits dealing with Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Press Secretary Jen Psaki.
His goal is to meet in person, face to face with his European counterparts and talk about and assess where we are at this point in the conflict, in the invasion of Ukraine by Russia. We've been incredibly aligned to date. That doesn't happen by accident.
Biden has signed a $1.5 trillion budget bill that includes $13.6 billion in military and humanitarian aid for Ukraine.
This bill is also going to help face our challenges here at home.
It sends a clear message to the American people that we're investing in safety, health, and the future of Americans.
Roughly half of the $13.6 billion would arm Ukraine and cover the Pentagon's cost for sending U.S. troops to other Eastern European nations. Much of the rest is for humanitarian and economic assistance. I'm Tim McGuire.
Do you want the best for your car? Then fill up with premium at Circle K. Circle K Premium is our best fuel with double the cleaning detergent, protecting your engine from corrosion and damage so it can work at its best. And that, my friend, increases your mileage for more cha-ching in your pocket. Plus, when you fill up with premium at Circle K, you can save up to 20 cents per gallon. Offer valid Thursdays or Fridays at participating stores. For details, visit CircleK.com. Circle K, how convenient.
You're always up for some fun with the family, so you order the essentials, a new board game, some baking supplies, and even a new projector for outdoor movie night. And with the Bank of America customized Cash Rewards credit card, you can choose to earn 3% cash back on online shopping, which could increase to up to 5.25% as a preferred rewards member. Rewards which you can put toward an extra treat that everyone will enjoy, like an old-fashioned popcorn machine. Visit bankofamerica.com/more rewarding and apply now. Copyright 2021 Bank of America Corporation.
For Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM. I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. Federal prosecutors are recommending 30 days in jail and 3 years of probation for a Wisconsin man from Eau Claire who drove to Washington, D.C. to participate in the Stop the Steal rally and entered the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021 amid the insurrection. Despite millions of federal dollars being allocated for rental relief, eviction filings in Milwaukee have more than doubled since November 2021. In order to address the recent flood of eviction filings by Barada Properties, the city of Milwaukee is now evaluating the city's eviction prevention programs. This morning, Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers have reportedly agreed to terms on a 3-year contract for $150 million. Yesterday, the Packers announced the re-signing of linebackers Preston Smith and Devondre Campbell, as well as the releasing of offensive tackle Billy Turner and linebacker Zadarius Smith. You're listening to Devil Radio.
Malarkey. The devil's advocates invented malarkey.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Tuesday edition. I'm joining soon. You can join right now. Just dial 844-967-2789. Now, we play tribalism around here occasionally. You know, I know sometimes it feels like us versus them. Whoever them are, probably Gary and CJ, but whoever them are, it's us versus them. And we always accuse the other side, be it the righties accusing guys like me or the lefties like me accusing guys like CJ of being the truly bad ones. You know, they're the bad ones. So anyways, let's break it down. Let's figure out. Let's do the math. Which party is more ruthless? And according to the plumb line, Paul Waldman, it's not even close. So I'm going to jump in this opinion piece at the Washington Post. People in both parties will tell you that their own side is made up of feckless wimps who cower at the first sign of resistance, while the other side is populated by ruthless Machiavellians who will go to any length to win. But they can't all be right. A look at Washington and more vividly at the states tells us which side is mercilessly advancing its goals and which isn't. And there are few better illustrations of this vast imbalance than how the parties have responded to the extraordinary Texas abortion law passed last year. A little recap: the Texas law outlawed almost all abortions after 6 weeks of pregnancy, before many women know they're pregnant. This is plainly unconstitutional. The Supreme Court has repeatedly held that women have the right to an abortion before viability, and even abortion opponents don't claim that a 6-week-old fetus is viable. And to evade the courts, the law put enforcement in the hands of private vigilantes, allowing anyone to sue abortion providers or anyone who even helped a woman get an abortion. In a shocking move, the Supreme Court allowed the Texas state law to stand potentially for years, while it and other abortion laws are adjudicated by the courts. Now, conservatives fully understand the implications of this. When the Supreme Court heard oral arguments on the Texas law last November, Justice Brett, give me another beer, Kavanaugh, noted that if the law stands, state could restrict all kinds of constitutional rights by putting enforcement in the hands of vigilantes instead of the government. It could be free speech rights, he said. It could be the free exercise of religion rights. It could be the Second Amendment rights if this position is accepted here. In theory, that's true, but in practice, it could turn out that only Republicans are willing to avail themselves of this vigilante tactic now that the Supreme Court has opened the door by letting Texas's law be implemented. Since then, Republicans in a dozen states have introduced unconstitutional abortion bans enforced by private vigilantes. Idaho just became the first state to pass one. The legislation banning abortions after 6 weeks is now headed to the governor's desk. Idaho's law is slightly more limited than the one in Texas. It only allows suits against abortion providers and only by people related to the fetus. Still, when a Democrat in the Texas House asked the bill's sponsors if a rapist's brother could sue over his brother's victim's abortion, the sponsor admitted he could. So if Democratic states passed a deluge of laws modeled on the Texas law using vigilante provisions to attack the gun industry or other opponents of liberals? No, they haven't. The Post has identified 35 bills with vigilante provisions that have been introduced in state legislatures over the last month, some by Republicans and some by Democrats. But so far, there has been no wave of vigilante laws signed by Democratic governors. With a good deal of fanfare, California Governor Gavin Newsom recently endorsed legislation allowing people to sue gun manufacturers and the sellers for their harm the products do. Right now, the legislation is in committee. Is it going to be law? It might. And maybe if California does it, other liberal states will follow. But no one will be surprised if those bills sink into limbo where most legislation resides and disappears. And the typical Democratic legislator will probably tell you there are more pressing problems at hand. Their states already have fairly strict gun laws. They have economic, educational, and environmental challenges to confront, among others. Governing is complicated. And if you're serious about it, there's only so much time you can spend on making a point. Republican state legislators, on the other hand, tend not to be particularly serious about governing, so they can devote all their energy, like restricting women's reproductive rights and smashing through norms, and breaking rules has become part of what it means to be a Republican. That's how you show your supporters you're committed to the conservative cause. If you'd say, I'd like to ban all abortions, but we can't until the Supreme Court overturns Roe v. Wade, that marks you as a squish. After all, didn't the court give you the go-ahead by not putting a hold on the Texas law? Question mark, kinda. That's hardly all. On subject after subject, Republicans in the state are going farther than anyone imagined just a short time ago. It all started here about a decade ago, but anyways, whether it's attacking the families of trans kids, banning books, or eliminating any and all gun restrictions, Ohio Governor Mike DeWine just signed a law making his the 8th state since 2021 to remove permitting requirements for concealed weapons after Alabama passed a similar law last week. No training, no background check, no license required. In more liberal areas of the country and just about everywhere else in the world, the idea that an adult should carry a gun around without even showing that they know which end the boom comes out of seems possibly and positively insane. But Republicans are not feeling constrained. While the rest of us look on in horror, their base has every reason to conclude that their leaders are getting things done.
It is just infected with toxic masculinity. I am so sick of GOPs beating their chest and draping themselves with flags, but the second they get pushed back on anything, the second they are asked to do anything at all to go and help anybody else, I can't wear a mask. at the DevilTree situation, we go into the state capitol and we present our DevilTree and we talk and have a wonderful time. Big manly man, Shay Sortwell, comes out and Dom goes, "What's this tree for?" He's like, "Well, is this all you're doing for your constituents?" And he's like, "This is for our constituents. This is for all of our people." And Dom asked the question that most people might think of: what else have you done for your constituents besides putting up a tree and singing carols to nobody?
Other than trolling?
And after that, once he was confronted with a fact that he couldn't actually back up, he turned into a little sobbing little child because Dom just kept pushing him and he just kept repeating the same thing over and over again because he's got nothing. He's a coward. And these people have never, ever, ever had to be held to the consequences of their actions. That it's insane. So all you have to do is push back a little bit harder than normal. And maybe, do you notice how these people never go up for debates? They never have public discourse. They never have town hall meetings with anybody they already don't know because they cannot stand pushback. These toxic masculinity filled people from the GOP walk around beating their chest. But if you push them over just a little bit, they will crumble like little children.
I am never putting you on the radio hangry again, Fancy Brian. I'm just saying, holy schmoly. 844.
Come on down to Waukesha, conservatives. You want to come talk to me? Now's the best time.
No, don't do that. Don't do that, Gary. Stay away. Stay away.
I like Gary.
Call.
We're cool. Gary and I are cool. Gary and I are totally cool.
844-967-2789. Jake from Milwaukee. Jake, welcome. What do you got?
Well, actually, it was good that you brought this up. It's what I've been thinking about a lot. All these, all these book burning laws, these, tell on your librarian, someone's gay laws, all these.
Can't say gay. Can't say gay.
Authoritarian, yes. LGBT, all these authoritarian, very Russian, Putin, fascist things are coming from Republicans. Like every one of them, right? So, just, it's kind of like, like 10 years ago, stuff like this has been coming out in Russia for years, right? And we're seeing it happen here now. I mean, the Republican Party, they're all pretty much Putin lovers anyways. So they want a dictatorship and a fascist United States. That's what they want. That's what
I don't think I don't think they look in the mirror and they think I want a fascist United States. I think that is.
They are.
Well, I think their actions are leading to fascism because I think they're very paternalistic. They need a strong daddy to tell them what's right and what's wrong. And right now, Donald Trump is their daddy.
But see, the thing is they don't care. They don't care. And if it is, they'll just take advantage of it and say like, hey, you know what? You can't have your radio stations because they're not for the government line, which is what we say it is, just like in Russia right now. That I'm just saying, people, you vote for conservatives and Republicans, you're going to get a fascist United States, and then they'll be coming for you if you don't like it. So just be vigilant. And one other thing.
I'm always vigilant. Don't tell me they're coming for me, Jake. No, continue.
One other thing. Can one conservative who calls here defend themselves why they're pro-life, but not? Because there's nothing that you guys do that is pro-life, right? I mean, other than trying to force women to have a pregnancy, there's nothing that you guys stand for that is pro-life.
Forced birth party is what they are.
It's just like it's a joke. Just be a man or a woman, suck it up and say, I want to save a fetus and I don't care about anyone else and I hope you die. It's just do it. Be honest, because I'm sick of this. I'm pro-life. Well, not for that person. He should die. Or, oh, good thing that person got ran over was a Democrat, like some AG from, I think it was South Dakota said. It's just, stop it. Come on, Gary. Man up and say, hey, I am pro-fetus, and then screw everyone else. Just be honest.
Jake, that might be a little too much honesty for some. 844-967-2789.
What bothers me the most is not just the lack of they used to act, Republicans used to act, I mean, may disagree with their policy, but they actually used to have policy. It used to be about, this is a different way that I have to go and maybe fix the same problems that we both agree upon. Now it's, I have created this infactual problem, and we're going to go and make a huge end around so that I can go and take care of my corporate donors. It has nothing to do with actual policy or governance anymore, and it used to, and that's what bothered me. I mean, look, in mob places, they at least kept the lights on. They at least have no crime in the mob neighborhoods. They might be doing crimes, but at least they're taking care of their own. They don't even take care of their own in Republican circles now.
I'm buying you a Snickers bar, man. I'm a little worried about you. Get that man hungry. Watch out. 844-967-2789. Fancy Brian got a little sound on the rundown. Republican. You don't think I got time? You're telling me I don't have time. Well, maybe if you didn't go on so many hangry rants, I'd have more time. Let me start a story, and then we'll bring the sound back later in the show. Maybe if Fancy Brian thinks there's time. But here is the headline. Why are there still apes? Trump-backed Senate candidate cast out on evolution. Well, he's former Heisman Trophy winner Herschel Walker. Sort of a famous football player sort. Trump-backed Georgia Senate candidate Herschel Walker recently delivered a diatribe that put Fancy Brian to shame and cast out on the science of evolution. As reported by the Huffington Post, Walker made the remarks while speaking at the Sugar Hill Church in Georgia this past Sunday. Here's the quote. I guess we'll skip the sound. You can trust me. Here's the quote. No, we don't have time for the sound, but I have time to quote it. At one time, science said man came from apes. Did it not? Walker said rhetorically, if that is true, why are there still apes?
Because you don't understand anything, you idiot.
Think about it. The church.
Because you didn't think about it, you idiot.
The church's lead pastor, Chuck Allen, then jumped up to tell Walker, now you're getting too smart for us. Oh, nope. Yeah, entirely. Maybe he's hangry. Come back. More Devil's Advocates. More of your phone calls. 844-967-2789.
I drank beer with my friends.
Well, you're about the people, man. I could care less what they think.
I liked beer. I still like beer.
We the people sucks and it's dead and buried.
Sometimes I had too many beers.
Excuse me, pardon?
Getting lost in a city you always wanted to visit.
Pardon, madame. Pardon? S'il vous plaît. Je cherche un restaurant. Merci.
Getting back to the moments we miss starts with getting informed.
This is so cool.
Get the latest info about COVID-19 vaccines at getvaccineanswers.org. It's up to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Treat yourself to some Wisco Home Goods natural lotions or sugar scrub in 2022. I'm Don, one of the owners of this family-owned Midwestern business in Madison, Wisconsin. Our natural hand soaps, lotions, and sugar scrubs offer you the luxury you deserve. Wisco Home Goods self-care products come in a variety of scents you're sure to love. So go on, add a little pampering to your daily routine. Order at wiscohomegoods.com. Natural, healthy, nourishing self-care and more at wiscohomegoods.com.
Cardall put out these weird, sad videos interviewing incapacitated elders in their nursing homes that don't have the ability to say, don't use me as your political prop.
If they are what you say they are, then you shouldn't be doing it how you did it.
Yes, it was the kids using the parents as props. Well, my old man hasn't talked since 76. Of course, he would have voted for Trump. That's the evidence. Videos. People that can't talk.
It is wrong. It's absolutely wrong.
Check out the entire podcast library at darnwi.com.
Hi, folks. This is Kirk Bankstead of the Minocqua Brewing Company, and I'm excited to announce our new beer, AOC IPA. This IPA pays homage to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a champion of the progressive movement. AOC IPA is now available in stores throughout Wisconsin. Check our website, MinocquaBrewingCompany.com, to see which stores in your area are carrying it.
The Devil's Advocates. So relevant, they have one foot in tomorrow.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Tuesday edition. Time for callers at 844-967-2789. And maybe the sound if there's time, but only if Fancy Brand thinks there's time. Tom from Madison. I can see you swearing through your teeth at me.
My job is to tell you how much time it is.
Tom from Madison, welcome. Before we run out of time, what do you got for us, Tom?
Hey guys, I'm definitely agreeing with Brian about the snowflakes on the right. I mean, I'm writing a piece or maybe a song about the fact that they all pretty much behave like 5-year-olds. I actually understand the feeling that I want to go outside and keep my gun with me wherever I go. Go to the store with it. Go to a family gathering.
But is it because they're fearful, or it somehow makes them feel powerful?
I think it's both. The thing was that, I got over that feeling when I was 5 years old, or 6 years old. And I felt the same thing where you're kind of scared about people who don't look like you or don't behave like you or dress like you. And then, you get to be a young adult and you get over that stuff. It just seems like these guys just never outgrow that fear or that, inclination to always prove that you're such a man and all that stuff, but they're too afraid to wear a mask. They're too afraid to, when they go out to protest, how long do they last? What, 3-4 hours? When you go back to the uprising, people were out there sleeping in the Capitol for weeks.
Come on, that Freedom Convoy, they drove around the I-495 like 3 out of 4 days until it rained.
Yeah, they had to take a day off they had to have a rain day. I mean, give me a break. Yeah, they are the biggest snowflakes in the world.
Some people say. Tom, really appreciate you listening, man. 844-967-2789. Be like Tom. Call the Devil's Advocates. Pizza Box Mike. Welcome, Michael. What do you got?
Well, I have to correct Tom, being that I'm like in 4th grade, sort of like, it's more like the 3rd grade, Tom. And they actually do act like about 3rd grade. And what is it with Gary? Is he like, I'm going to find out if that's like CJ's uncle or something. Because I heard, he said, yeah, I heard from somebody that was listening to your fine show yesterday, tell me that, Gary was talking about you. Oh, you mean I as I understand it, you wanted to know what the difference was between January 6th?
Between you and an insurrectionist, Pizza Box, because you were up at the Capitol in Madison a decade ago.
Woo! First of all, no cops were attacked or assaulted. We didn't break in on anything, dude. To just even question, come on, that's insane, dude. What realm are you in, brother? And I met Gary too, man. I suppose that's why, I had a lasting impression. We met once, but where has he been all this time? Where was he during the Trump years, man? He never called.
Oh, he did. He did back in Milwaukee days.
Oh, did he?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And be careful, because we learned yesterday on the big show, Pizza Box, he's packing heat. If you approach him and you scare him at the front window, he's liable to put that revolver in your face
and buy you lunch.
Fun. Yeah, I was going to say, you might get lunch out of it.
No beverage. No beverage, though.
Listen, I've always lived by these standards. If I need somebody's gun, I'll pry it from their cold, dead hand. What do you think of that, Gary? Am I too radical for you?
Appreciate the call, Pizza Box. Now you're sounding like a Rittenhouse victim. 844-967-2789. New name, Pat from Milwaukee. Welcome, Pat. What do you got?
Hey, I want to refer back to something you were talking about yesterday about how Whitey Radio in Milwaukee was originally opposed to Trump, but then they all fell in after.
Yes, sir. Look at the primary in March of 2016. This state and right-wing talk radio was in the tank for Ted Cruz, and Ted Cruz won the state by double digits. And then, obviously, Trump won the nomination, and then they all fell in line and fell in bed with the man.
That tank would have been a septic tank as far as I'm concerned. But to make one matter clear, Charlie Sykes was a never Trumper, and
he stayed
that. And you said, well, they all fell.
Well, him and Jerry Bader up in the Fox Valley, and both by effectively by the new year, by the time Trump was inaugurated, both of those guys were out of jobs.
Right, but to make no mistake, Sykes is still a snake. I think so. even on MSNBC. But and I won't forgive him for how he.
Well, he set the stage for Trump here in the state of Wisconsin. He propped up wanker's ass for a decade. I mean, Scott Walker had no leadership qualities. There was an article back in.
Set the stage. He set the stage for the idiot Sheriff Clark, for Walker, and for Ron Johnson. He just couldn't say enough about Ron Johnson because he heard him at some Rotary.
And Rebecca Clayfish. Rebecca Clayfish was Charlie's pick. Brett Davis was Scott Walker's pick. They were colluding on campaign finance violations, him and Davis, apparently.
Rebecca Clayfish. Every time she would appear on his show, you could literally hear Charlie get a boner. It was amazing what an obnoxious sort he was in her presence. It was sickening.
Well, Pat, I'd like to imagine what that sound might be, but I'll have to take your word for it. I want to sneak at least one more call. Thanks for listening, Pat. Mark from the SAC, welcome back. What do you got?
Oh, that one it had to be an awfully small sound if you could hear that. But,
I have acute ears from years of working in broadcast, Mark.
It just something crystallized in my head when Herschel Walker apparently talking about evolution, and that and Herschel Walker, this gets to critical race theory. Do these people even even recognize that in the Judge Taney decision, which is dead Dred Scott, I mean, that he actually more or less posited in there that black people weren't even human. They weren't even fully human. But that's that's critical race theory. That might make some people feel bad if you actually know actual real history.
Well, apparently Herschel Walker still arguing the other side at the Scopes monkey trial.
It is just ridiculous. I mean, I guess if you go to like 250, I was just reading something, Last Ape Standing. I mean, it's a book on human evolution, but it's relatively in recent history within the past couple hundred years, 1,000 years, that you go 250,000 years ago, there was multiple species of human beings walking around on this planet. That, and I'm not talking about different races because we're all the same species when it comes to, race is barely even skin deep. That it is just ridiculous. And for these fools to want to carry a gun around them everywhere, good grief. I mean, I don't feel any.
Well, guys like you
fools have guns,
and hangry guys like Fancy Brian. Well, they scare those guys. Got to defend themselves. Mark, thanks for listening. Stick around. My little buddy Dominic, who I understand also has a concealed carry permit. Is he packing? You'll never know. Unless it goes off and shoots him in the Charlie Sykes. Come back with us. The Happier Happy Hour. It starts right now.
I stabbed a man in the heart.
Keep up the fight for freedom, man.
Why do I surround myself with fools? Even the robots are smarter than you. I don't know what we're yelling about!
Hi, this is Brad from Zero Res. If you need someone to help with your carpet cleaning, business or residence, please give us a call. We have the best system available and an amazing team of friendly technicians. Call us at 848-9000 or schedule online at zeroresmadison.com.
This week's Matt Flynn Direct is all about Waukesha. Hi, I'm Alderman Don Brown, host of This Week in Waukesha, and I'll be filling in for Matt and talking all things Waukesha, including our incredible South basketball team. Join us for a special St. Patrick's Week with Waukesha's favorite Irishman. That's me.
Breaking news today, Rocker. Crowds of local music fans are gathering outside our studio, and they say they're tailgating for Saturday's Max Inc. radio broadcast live at 6 p.m., and they won't leave until it's over at midnight.
Terry, what are they expecting Saturday night?
Local music, Rocker. Interviews, throwbacks, live music in the Devil's Lair, and Max Inc. Heavy after 10 p.m.
Max Inc. Heavy?
That's right, Rocker. Only local hard rock and metal after 10 during Max Inc. Heavy.
Tune in Saturday at 6 p.m. for Max Inc. Radio on Devil Radio 92.7 FM.
You are listening to WTTN 1580 AM Columbus, W224 EG Madison, always streaming on the Devil.
AP News, I'm Tim McGuire. President Biden says the U.S. has already given a lot to Ukraine's war effort and will now provide an additional more than $13 billion in humanitarian and military aid.
With this new security funding and the drawdown authorities in this bill, we're moving urgently to further augment the support to the brave people of Ukraine as they defend their country.
Biden heads to Brussels next week for a NATO summit and a meeting with EU leaders. Former State Department official Daniel Hamilton calls it a good move.
It's important that the president show he's not sitting comfortably across the Atlantic, but that he's part of the coalition meeting with European colleagues in Europe, and that the United States is a European power.
Russian troops have stepped up the rocket and artillery attacks in Ukraine, taking aim at the capital, Kyiv. Officials say some 20,000 civilians have made it out of badly damaged Mariupol. In a remote speech to the Canadian Parliament, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky pressed again for a no-fly zone over the cities in his country.
You can see that our cities like Kharkiv, Mariupol, and many other cities are not protected just like your cities are protected, Edmonton, Vancouver. You can see that Kyiv is being shelled and bombed.
Zelensky speaking through an interpreter. The U.S. and West are concerned that a no-fly zone would broaden the war. As source tells the AP, Pfizer is expected to request authorization this week for an additional coronavirus booster dose for seniors, adding a fourth shot to the regimen, currently 2 shots, followed months later by a booster, in an effort to provide maximum protection for those over 65. Drop in oil prices and easing of inflation spur Wall Street, S&P gaining more than 2%, adding 89 points. The Dow was up nearly 2%, a 599-point climb, and the NASDAQ was up nearly 3%. This is AP News.
Do you want the best for your car? Then fill up with premium at Circle K. Circle K Premium is our best fuel with double the cleaning detergent, protecting your engine from corrosion and damage so it can work at its best. And that, my friend, increases your mileage for more cha-ching in your pocket. Plus, when you fill up with premium at Circle K, you can save up to 20 cents per gallon. Offer valid Thursdays or Fridays at participating stores. For details, visit CircleK.com. Circle K, how convenient.
You're always up for some fun with the family, so you order the essentials, a new board game, some baking supplies, and even a new projector for outdoor movie night. And with the Bank of America customized Cash Rewards credit card, you can choose to earn 3% cash back on online shopping, which could increase to up to 5.25% as a preferred rewards member. Rewards which you can put toward an extra treat that everyone will enjoy, like an old-fashioned popcorn machine. Visit bankofamerica.com/more rewarding and apply now. Copyright 2021 Bank of America Corporation.
This is the radio station you were looking for. Devil Radio 92.7. It surrounds us. It penetrates us. It binds the world together.
Help me, Devil Radio. You're my only hope.
This is Rocker, and I'm sitting here on the patio at Salvatore's Tomato Pies, freezing my butt off. So I'm headed next door to the Dark Horse Art Bar for a Rocker Rye whiskey to warm me up. It's a high rye with just a touch of malted barley. It's yummy. Find Rocker Spirits at Festival Foods on East Wash and Woodman's grocery stores. You must be 21. Please drink responsibly.
Do you need to hire? Let Devil Radio help your business find the right candidate with our Help Wanted Half Minutes. Devil Radio will create a 30-second job listing for your business. Play it on Devil Radio for the month. We'll feature your job listing during Afternoon Drive on Fridays, and we'll even publish your Help Wanted listing on Devil Radio 927.com's website, all for just $300 per month. If you're hiring, Devil Radio can help. Call today.
Hi, folks. This is Kirk Bankstad at the Minocqua Brewing Company, and I am proud to introduce you to Choice, our new pink grapefruit flavored hard seltzer. Choice was made in collaboration with Planned Parenthood of Wisconsin, and 5% of the proceeds from every can goes to support them and their fight for reproductive freedom. Choice hard seltzer tastes great and comes in at only 105 calories per can. Go to our website, MinocquaBrewingCompany.com, to find where you can buy Choice hard seltzer.
WTTN 1580 AM News Talk Radio, built for the 99%, is rural Wisconsin's home for Devil Radio.
For Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM. I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. On Monday, Wisconsin Attorney General Josh Kaul announced the State Department of Justice is bringing a civil suit against Tyco Fire Products, as well as Tyco's parent company, Johnson Controls, for failing to notify the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources when they discharged firefighting foam from their Marinette County facility. The firefighting foam is known for containing PFAS or forever chemicals, and the suit brought by the Wisconsin Department of Justice is asking Marinette County Court to hold Tyco and Johnson Controls responsible for the cleanup costs the state has incurred related to the contamination in northeastern Wisconsin. A mix of clouds and sunshine throughout the day with light and variable winds and a high today of 56 degrees. Mostly clear skies expected this evening with continued light winds and an overnight low of 37 degrees. You're listening to Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
Devil Radio programming is produced live in the Solidarity Realty Studios. Find them at solidarityrealty.com. Solidarity Realty. There is an alternative.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves and corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. 3, 2, 1. Now live from the Devil Radio Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning. Welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Here is your host, Mike Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Tuesday edition, sliding into the happy hour. And I'm happy because there's my little buddy Dominic. He's joining us. And there's Fancy Brian. He's a little hangry. Dom, what condition is your condition in, man?
Oh, let me tell you about the condition my condition is in. That's why I dropped in. Crudy, Fancy Brian, Evan on the board, our fair audience. Thank you so much for joining us. Great to be with you.
Buddy, we got some breaking news in the great state of Wisconsin. The Wisconsin Elections Commission, by a 6-0 vote, it was unanimous, Dom. Boo! They said that apparently there's no evidence that Wisconsin state law was broken by the false Trump electors. Nothing specifically in Wisconsin law to hold them accountable for. So it was a unanimous ruling. They dismissed, but perhaps the most egregious part, at least according to Jeff Mandel from Law Forward, is the fact that one of the fraudulent Trump electors got to be his own judge and jury now. Bob Spindell.
Good work if you can get it.
How the frick did this guy get to vote on whether or not he committed fraud? Bob got to say, I don't think Bob committed fraud.
I talked to Bob, and Bob told me that everything Bob did was totally fine.
I think we should let him go. Right? I mean, right. And apparently, if it does not violate state law in a clear fashion, you know, it was a unanimous ruling of this council, including the Dems, Mark Thompson. We respect Mark and Ann Jacobs. And, you know, some of the rest, not including Bob Spindell. But man, how did how in the hell did Bob Spindell not recuse himself? Was he that afraid? Was he that afraid that he was going to be held accountable by the Wisconsin Elections
Well, because
Commission,
I mean, if he
the very
recuses
board
himself,
he sits on?
I mean, it is, of course, this board is meant to be a partisan board. And perhaps he thought if he, recused himself that he would be in some way, shape, or form, acknowledging some wrongdoing. I mean, Bob Spindell is never going to step down from voting himself innocent. Ever.
Well, if I had to vote, I would always vote myself innocent too now. If I get a vote, if I had to get out of fraud free card, I would absolutely cast that vote to let myself off.
Patrick Marley in the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, a couple of paragraphs here. As you mentioned, Jeff Mandel, a Madison attorney who filed the complaint against the false elector, said he was disappointed by the commission's decision and was considering appealing it to circuit court. Please do so, Jeff. The commission's ruling ensures that supporters of whoever lost the future presidential election will cobble together sets of false electors. He said they are inviting this to happen every time. Yes, they are. A little more here. When they filed the paperwork claiming to be electors, the 10 Republicans said they wanted to preserve their chances of claiming the presidency in case Trump and his allies won long shot legal challenges over the results. A quote from Andrew Hitt, former Wisconsin Republican.
Those rulings had already dropped before December 14th, before they made those votes, including the state Supreme Court. They had already dropped. We already knew the legal outcomes. But please continue.
They could appeal. It's a long-term process. Here's what one of the fraudulent electors, Andrew Hitt, had to say. Quote, "We simply gathered on the advice of legal counsel to ensure all options were preserved in case of a court decision favorable to the Trump legal team in ongoing litigation. I assumed correctly our paperwork would be ignored, as it should be, absent a court decision finding legitimate cause to declare President Trump won Wisconsin."
A quote from the Madison.com, the Wisconsin State Journal online component. The complainant's argument that the respondents were not electors presumes the outcome of state procedures. Attorneys for the commission. Again, the commission dismissed this action 6-0. Again, from the statement. As noted above, Wisconsin law does not prohibit an alternative set of electors from meeting. So it's not clear under Wisconsin law what they did under Wisconsin law.
Well, I think
was a crime.
It was more than just meeting. You can meet in the garage and say you're president of the world. That doesn't do anything. But when you sign fraudulent documents, when you use state symbols, and when you use the U.S. mail to perpetuate that fraud, I think that's more than just meeting.
No, you've committed a federal crime. See the distinction there, Don? Mail fraud is a federal crime. A little bit more. The commission concluded Mandel's complaint, again, that the attorney with Law Forward, does not raise a reasonable suspicion that the respondents violated Wisconsin election law, according to the letter. But I bet if you looked under federal statutes, what's it called? Seditious conspiracy? I bet you could find some applicable statutes, Tom. I'm just saying. Spindell again, I'm quoting Jeffrey Mandel from Law Forward. Spindell participated in this decision, and that is just egregious. It is contrary to every elementary principle of justice that someone gets to be the judge on whether their own conduct was lawful. I think that's pretty crazy and deeply disappointing. Maybe he's hangry. A little bit more from Mandel. From the outset, our goal has been to shed light on this travesty, seek accountability for the fraudulent electors, and ensure this never happens again in Wisconsin. That project continues. We're actively pursuing numerous avenues for accountability. Our work is far from done. Now, they did file with the Milwaukee County DA, and the Milwaukee County DA said, I don't know if we got jurisdiction. This seems like more of a state or a federal thing. So, Dom, I guess we're going to have to hold out for the Merrick Garland solution.
Or for the feds for Merrick Garland Day. And again, I have to assume, given the bipartisan unanimous nature of it, that the commission who got advice from counsel received good counsel. But I would just say, if there is not a law on the books in the state of Wisconsin to prevent this kind of activity, perhaps there should be.
Well, we can't make law by referendum. And let's not forget, Republicans still control the legislative arms in the state of Wisconsin, and probably still will even after the redistricting and the new election.
Yeah.
So under that circumstance, you think they're going to, hold their own false electors accountable? I mean, hell, they're still making demands, right? We got new missives from the Wisconsin, the WCDEI. I mean, March 17th is the deadline. And they're demanding meetings. They're demanding retribution, because, of course, they take Gableman's report for gospel, and therefore the election was stolen, probably.
Well, before we dive into that whole
How can
part
I not
of this
start
story,
diving into that?
I know, but I just want to say, I mean,
join me.
We talked briefly about, obviously, in my opinion, this should not be allowed. There should be some statute against that, and perhaps now the way for Mandela law forward, and those who care about this issue is, pursue it in the federal courts. But if there is a federal remedy to it, that certainly means that Wisconsin needs to button up their statutes. And that's what I'm saying. But yes, Crudy Voss, the Assembly Speaker of the state of Wisconsin, he is going to meet with the what's the acronym of that group again?
WCDEI, something like that. WC, maybe it's WDCEI. I'll look it up. You continue. I'll find their newest press missive. Very demanding sort, these concerned
indeed.
Citizens.
Indeed. Molly Beck reporting in the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Republican leader of Wisconsin Assembly on Wednesday will meet, that's tomorrow, with a group of conservatives who want him to take the impossible and illegal steps of decertifying Biden's victory in Wisconsin to, quote, see if they can prove their case. Assembly Speaker Robin Voss will talk to the group at the state capitol hours before he and Senate Majority Leader Devin LeMahieu are traveling to the Stevens Point area to meet with leaders of each county's Republican Party, some of whom expect to discuss the same idea. Quote, I still believe that we do not have the ability to decertify, but I said I would listen to those who are bringing experts to say we can, and we will see if they can prove their case, Voss, a Republican from Rochester, told the AP. I've asked people who think we can and think we can't to all sit in a room and discuss it, and that's what we're doing tomorrow.
Just having a little chat, a little discussion, just spitballing, coming up with ideas. What do you think, guys? Should we decertify the Electoral College count from the last election from almost 2 years ago? What do you think? Great idea.
I got
the greatest idea ever.
I got an expert. Perhaps the crackhead pillow guy will come in. Hell, maybe we'll bring Gableman in. I mean, talk about a highly respected former justice of the Supreme Court of Wisconsin. What do you want? They got experts. What else do you need? The experts say we can. So just go ahead and do it. Just sign a piece of paper, put your name on it. Don't care if it's fraudulent or not. That doesn't matter anymore. Just say you're going to do it to make everybody happy. And then we'll just kind of see what happens.
Dominic, technically, they're the WCDEI, Wisconsin Citizens Demanding Election Integrity. And we're going to take a break here in a moment. We'll get back with some phone calls, 844-967-2789. Not only do they include the email addresses of every Republican Party chair, and I got to say thank you to the WCDEI for compilating that material for me.
Yes.
I may also want to send emails to every Republican Party chair in the state of Wisconsin. But here's how they start. Dear Wisconsin citizen, did you vote in the November 2020 election? Did you smell a rat in the election results?
No.
There's plenty of
not.
Wait, a little bit more. And then we'll take the break. And then we'll come back and I'll read some more. There's now plenty of evidence that your nose was correct and the rat smelling, apparently. In fact, it seems you were smelling several rats. And then in all caps, it says, do you want to know the truth?
Hallelujah. Tell me the truth, baby.
Well, I'll tell you as soon as you come back from this commercial break. You're listening to the Devil's Advocate. See what I did there? WCDEI says, come back for break, or I'm out to all you publicly. And I'll primary you, each and every member of this audience. You're running for dog catcher. I'm coming for you. Come back. More W. If you don't come back, I'm coming for you.
If you see something, say something.
I didn't get a harumph out of that guy. You're gonna be dead.
America, your children have an amazing superpower. They can help save lives by not having play dates. That's right. By replacing get-togethers with virtual play dates and video chats, they can help slow the evil spread of germs. And if your superheroes do go outside, make sure they continue their superhero wing by staying 6 feet away from others to protect everyone in America land. Find out more at coronavirus.gov. A message from the CDC and the Ad Council.
President Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election.
Collectively, Republicans got 1.661 million votes, 51,000 more votes than Trump got.
He exhausted his cases. He exhausted the court challenges.
All the Republicans voted for Trump the way they voted for the assembly candidates. He would have won.
It was not rigged. It was not stolen. Donald Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election. It's really clear.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org.
The Devil's Advocates, because freedom.
But Dom, we've been following a couple of big stories this week. Truck convoy leader has no idea where he is and is driving in circles around I-495. He didn't know precisely where he was going anyways or where he was at the time. Apparently, he put the convoy back on the road, headed back up north, and he's back in Scranton. So
I totally would have protested this tyranny, but damn, the traffic was so bad.
Follow the Devil's Advocates on Facebook and Twitter.
Spruce up your home with soy candles from Wisco Home Goods. I'm Don, one of the owners of this family-owned Midwestern business in Madison, Wisconsin. Our candles are 100% sustainable and come in a variety of unique blends and scents. Did you know our candle jars are also double old-fashioned glasses? That's right, buy a candle and you get a free cocktail glass. Check out our blog at wiscohomegoods.com/blog for more information. That's wiscohomegoods.com/blog.
The Devil's Advocates, the fix for political junkies everywhere.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. I smell a rat. Give us a call, 844-967-2789.
I did request a rat song. So, Chuck.
Well done, everybody.
This old missive, WCDER. And we are getting to the callers. Be patient just a moment longer. Want to read a little bit of this demand letter.
the hostage letter. Is this letter, is it written with like little cutout, magazine letters?
That would require skill, Dom.
Oh, okay.
Any skill whatsoever or creativity.
You've seen the Blazing Saddles where the sheriff puts the gun to his head. I think he's crazy enough to do it. Dear Wisconsin citizen, did you vote in the November 2020 elections? Did you smell a rat in the election results? Now there's plenty of evidence that your nose was correct. It always is. I got a good noggin. In fact, it seems you were smelling several rats. Do you want to know the truth? State party leadership has invited all county party leaders to meet with Robin Voss and Stevens Point this Wednesday. That's tomorrow, folks, March 16th. Voss clearly intends to leverage that meeting to keep county party leadership quiet about the plainly evident 2020 election fraud. It's going to stifle the big lie with all the party leaders around the
plainly evident. I mean, it's so plain that, no judge or jury has found it to be true, but, don't let that stop you.
Well, just 3 more lines and then back to you and the callers. All caps. Why does Robin Voss want to hide the truth? Another sentence, all caps. Why are county chairs being bullied into silence? Peculiar way the Republican leadership to act. Don't you agree?
Leadership in quotes.
The WCDEI. They're awfully demanding, and there's more there, but that's the gist. It goes on and on. Those dirty rats.
Is it going to be like Robert De Niro, playing the mobster with the, everyone around the table? Hey, like baseball, teamwork, is that how he's going to keep people in line?
Just clubs them like good fellas from behind. Like, it was all about the Latanza deal, wasn't it, Don?
Oh,
man. A man stands alone at a plate. This is the time for what? For individual achievement. There he stands alone. But in the field, what? Part of a team.
Well done, Brian.
The greatest team in radio right here, Devil's Advocates. Let's get to a few callers while there's time. Fancy Brian's been chasing me to breaks all day. 844-967-2789. I think that's the number. You can cuss me all you want under your breath. Just don't do it on the air.
I can't change time.
Jeannie from Eau Claire, make time change. Welcome.
Hey,
what
Jeannie.
do you got for us?
Hey, there's more rats going around than you think. I just got a phone call at 4:38
from the U.S. Senate with a 414 number starting it. And it was Ron Johnson from Wisconsin doing, one of those town halls, but it was really a campaign BS type deal.
Where's the town hall? You going, Jeannie?
No, it's here. It was on the phone. They do phone town hall.
Oh, did you
Yes,
participate?
and then you get to ask a question, but you really don't, because I got a feeling it's taped. But I'm not sure on that, because once he started in on the Democrats, there were a couple of times where he got a chance to blame the Democrats for everything. But one of the ones that really hit home was, about the gas prices going up. And he said, well, he said that's because of, the Democrats, and they're green. They want to go green. And then he connected it to Texas. When their grid went down, that was because of the Democrats, too, trying to go green. We're not ready for all the solar and blah, blah, blah. And I kept hitting the numbers, star, 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 if you want to add a comment, didn't pick up. And pretty soon we hit it about 50 times. Finally, I hung up because I thought, my heart can't take it. My blood pressure can't take this guy. So I had to hang up.
Ron Johnson's buddy, Cancun Ted Cruz, what he did during the grid failure in Texas, he took the family south, right? Well, it doesn't bother Ron one little smidgen. Those guys were shotgunning at a Freedom Convoy rally earlier this week. Him and Ted Cruz specifically, Ron Johnson. So for him to have the brazen whats to think that he's going to talk about the grid in Texas and totally exclude his buddy Cancun Ted from conversation, that seems a little brassy, let's just say, Gene.
And there were calls. They were taking calls from people in Eau Claire. So he's been hanging out on our side of the state, whatever way, by phone or whatever.
Well, he's not going to get votes from Dane County. Our audience ain't voting for the man, except maybe CJ and Gary.
Well, they did have one call from somebody up there, and there was one woman. She was so great because I thought she was going to be a Republican, and she started talking about the border and people bringing in, diseases and stuff like that. And we really need to, let people in legally. We know if they're vaccinated and stuff. And then he goes something about just going to bring up the Democrats, and she goes, and you tell your Republican friends they just want these people coming in over here illegally to fill their jobs. Just about died. I thought, you go, girl. But anyway,
sort of turned the script, didn't she, Jeannie?
Yes, she did. But then he had a helper that came in right after that and tried to.
We're done here. I've shut down a few pressers myself, Jeannie.
Yeah, so beware, guys. If you get a phone call, you might want to listen and see if you learn anything new from Ron Johnson from Wisconsin.
Ron Johnson from Wisconsin.
Jeannie,
thanks for the call, Jeannie. Rojo was on Fox News, and he was asking me, hey, you said you weren't going to run again. And then Ron replied, I love this country. I see it's being torn apart. I see what has happened during the pandemic, the loss of freedom. And I think I'm in a position where I can maybe help improve things. Maybe I can help unify and heal this nation. I've never walked away from a problem. In the end, I just couldn't walk away from this. Do you ever think maybe Ron, you're the problem, Ron?
Healer. He's a healer.
Yeah, a unifier.
Devil's advocates healing the nation.
Yeah, hallelujah.
I want him dead. I want his family dead. I want his house burnt to the ground. I want to go to the middle of the night. I want to piss on his ashes.
Listen to him, man. He's just crazy enough to do it.
You hear? Because you got nothing. You got nothing in court. You don't got the bookkeeper. You got nothing. Nothing. And if you were a man, you would have done it now. You don't got a thing, you punk.
Here ended the lesson.
Talk radio made for the 99% on Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
This is Pat Slattery of Slattery's Automotive Service in Verona. Established in 1973, I've been servicing and repairing cars in the Madison community for nearly 50 years. You can trust me to tell you what your car really needs and fix it right the first time. Give me a call at 608-848-6123 to schedule an appointment today. Slattery's Automotive Service, your trusted choice for local service and repairs for all your automotive needs.
Is your smartphone really a smartphone if it doesn't have the Devil Radio app? No, it isn't. Download the Devil Radio app in the Apple or Google Play Store and listen to the greatest radio station ever whenever you're on the go or stationary or whatever. It doesn't matter. The Devil Radio app, streaming 24/7.
Hi, this is Brad from Zero Res. If you need someone to help with your carpet cleaning, business or residence, please give us a call. We have the best system available and an amazing team of friendly technicians. Call us at 848-9000 or schedule online at zeroresmadison.com.
Aid. I'm Tim McGuire with an AP News Minute. President Biden says another $13 billion in military and humanitarian aid is heading to Ukraine.
We've been providing anti-armor, taking out tanks, anti-air capabilities directly to the Ukrainian forces. And we're also facilitating significant shipments of security assistance from our allied partners.
Biden himself heads to Europe next week to meet with NATO and EU leaders. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky, in an online address to Canada's parliament, calls again for a no-fly zone to protect cities in his country.
Cities like Kharkiv, Mariupol, and many other cities are not protected just like your cities are protected. Edmonton, Vancouver. You can see that Kyiv is being shelled and bombed.
Zelensky through an interpreter. He will deliver a remote speech to Congress tomorrow. The White House says Second Gentleman Doug Emhoff has tested positive for the coronavirus. I'm Tim McGuire.
Do you want the best for your car? Then fill up with premium at Circle K. Circle K Premium is our best fuel with double the cleaning detergent, protecting your engine from corrosion and damage so it can work at its best. And that, my friend, increases your mileage for more cha-ching in your pocket. Plus, when you fill up with premium at Circle K, you can save up to 20 cents per gallon. Offer valid Thursdays or Fridays at participating stores. For details, visit CircleK.com. Circle K, how convenient.
You're always up for some fun with the family, so you order the essentials, a new board game, some baking supplies, and even a new projector for outdoor movie night. And with the Bank of America customized Cash Rewards credit card, you can choose to earn 3% cash back on online shopping, which could increase to up to 5.25% as a preferred rewards member. Rewards which you can put toward an extra treat that everyone will enjoy, like an old-fashioned popcorn machine. Visit bankofamerica.com/more rewarding and apply now. Copyright 2021 Bank of America Corporation.
For Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM. I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. The Evers administration began issuing Wisconsin Help for Homeowners grants last week to eligible Wisconsin households at or below 100% of the area median income for their household size. The state program is using more than $92 million of federal pandemic relief funds to assist Wisconsinites struggling with mortgage and utilities payments amid the COVID-19 pandemic. The Wisconsin program will not take advantage of federal guidelines to increase household eligibility to 150% of the median income for socially disadvantaged individuals due to a threatened lawsuit by the conservative Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty. The Milwaukee Bucks defeated the Utah Jazz last night 117-111 in Milwaukee's first win in the state of Utah since 2001. The Bucks remain on the West Coast to play the Sacramento Kings tomorrow evening at 9 p.m. Central Time. You're listening to Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
You're listening to the radio show your mother warned you about, The Devil's Advocates.
For vocals. Oh, there they are. Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the happy hour. It rolls on. Oh, yeah. Big fancy. Dominic, quickly from our friends at WisPolitics and then onto the phones at 844-967-2789. A group of activists seeking to overturn the 2020 election results will meet with Assembly Speaker Robin Vos in the state capitol tomorrow. The aptly named activist is Jefferson Davis. I mean, I just think there's a little irony there. The name well known to the Confederacy, right? Wasn't he the first president of the Confederacy? Just asking. Someone Google that. It's worth the Google. The former Menominee Falls Village president announced the group will meet with Vos in the Speaker's office. Confirmed tomorrow's meeting is on the agenda, Dom. Davis said Voss agreed to, and here are the parameters of this big meeting.
Okay. All right. We have terms of the deal.
We have terms. The terrorists have set terms. Yeah. A minimum 1 hour closed meeting with no recordings. No recordings. Not going to record what's said in that meeting.
I bet somebody's going to record what's said in that meeting.
To hopefully engage with election integrity and constitutional law experts. That's the plan. No recordings. Because those would become open records, right? You know, you could go meet off campus, off reservation. But if you go to the speaker's office, isn't that a meeting of sorts? Isn't that become a public record? I guess we know the agenda item. Real quick, Davis has been pushing to overturn the 2020 elections, and corrupted former justice, Michael Gableman, in his latest report to the Assembly, argued there's a path to do so. But the legislature's attorneys have said that isn't possible and have other legal and constitutional experts. Yeah, no one really said it's possible except for Ram Jam and apparently Jefferson Davis. And Voss gave him a meeting. He's having a little face-to-face, a little sit-down confab, no recordings of his meeting with the terrorists tomorrow. Now, here's where it gets real interesting, and then we'll take the callers. Following the meeting with Voss, the group plans to travel to Stevens Point, where the state GOP has called a meeting tomorrow night with the county party officials for a legislative update. An update on whether or not they're overturning the Electoral College, Dom. With Politics reported earlier this month that the state GOP chair, Paul Farrow, who recently lost his mom, scheduled a meeting for tomorrow in Stevens Point. It came after party leaders had requested a dialogue with legislative leaders in person to have a frank conversation during Farrow's travels around the state. The meeting was scheduled to include Voss and Senate Majority Leader spineless Devin LeMahieu, Republican from Ootsburg. Oh, it's going to be a barn burner, Dom. I wish I could be a fly on the wall. I bet the policy will also be no recordings, please.
Well, I mean, why not? Why not be public about it? If this is what you believe in, stand up and shout it from the rooftops. I want to see that. Crudy, I wonder if any of these experts are perhaps a couple that are slated to speak to the Assembly Committee on Elections and Campaigns next week. They're bringing in, according to Molly Beck at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, 2 election conspiracy theorists who claimed widespread voter fraud for years. Well, at least they're consistent, including through busloads of out-of-state voters in the 2012 recall elections. Testifying are True the Vote leader Catherine Engelbrecht, who made the 2012 claim, and Greg Phillips, who has repeatedly promoted the false idea that up to 5 million non-U.S. citizens voted in the 2016 election, a claim Trump seized upon and used to sow distrust in elections since. These are the people that Janelle Brandon, the Republican from Menominee Falls here in Wisconsin, that's who they're bringing in to testify. So that should be, interesting.
Who's the woman that competed in the decathlon? The Jenner woman. What's her name? I forget her first name. Caitlyn.
Oh, the artist formerly known as Bruce Jenner.
The artist formerly known as Bruce Jenner. Caitlyn bears a striking resemblance to Catherine Engelbrecht. I'm just saying, they're handsome women.
Well, yeah, it's 2012, busloads of people coming in from, Illinois voting in the 2012 recall. This is a woman who is going to testify in front of the Assembly Committee on Elections.
Strong jawline. That's all I'm saying. 844-967-2789. Dick from the garage in Madison. Welcome back, Dick. What do you got?
Happy days, Dick. What's up?
Hey, guys. Well, can we agree on this, that Herschel Walker obviously played several years with inferior helmets and probably had several concussions? And then that also, this one from the sports world. How in hell's name did Michigan get in the tournament at 17 and 14?
Big Blue.
What a joke. They're terrible.
They thought they owed it to them. No, they should have been left out, like all things from Michigan.
That's right.
Hey, come on, man. A little legacy here.
Yeah, well, Wisconsin's is far better. 20 out of 21
Well, we got a 3
years.
seed, Dick. What do you want, man?
Yeah, I
It'd
know.
be different if
Well,
we got
no, I'm
left
just
out
saying,
and Michigan was
when
in.
they talk about that legacy of them is a joke too. But the reason I called earlier,
I think you have a problem with the laundry, man. I think
Wow,
you
you're a
just
little
have a problem with
salty
Michigan's
today,
laundry. If you just have to do what you want,
Grab a
Howard,
Snickers bar, Dick.
There's a lot of that
Hangry's going around.
A lot of going around today.
Yeah, this from Sunday's New York Times on February 27th. In-depth thing with the Thomases. And I talked to the guys earlier about it. You really need to read it. You could cultivate an entire show off some of these quotes in here from Ginny Thomas and the wonderful Judge Thomas.
Well, you'll have to see how that plays with the
Supreme
morning
Court
host.
Justice Clarence Thomas. Yeah, that is, we haven't brought that up yet, at least not during this segment of the show, but it is fairly interesting that a sitting U.S. Supreme Court justice's wife was out there, at the January 6th insurrection. Protest.
Just watching.
But it was cold,
Not
so she
coordinating.
decided to go home. No, not coordinated.
Let me point out to you, and I was your wingman that day, but at the inauguration of Donald J. Trump, you said it's raining, we're going to leave. We were 10 minutes into Trump's inauguration speech. One raindrop fell in DC and we left the speech mid-speech.
Yes.
So I would point out Dominic, Ginny, Thomas, Salvia, you are also thin-skinned when it comes to a
Hey,
little
man, F
inclement
that
weather.
guy. That's all I got to say.
844-967-2789. I'm not sure if you're talking about Trump or our next caller, CJ. Wanted to know why we never talk about Bruno or Ukraine, apparently. Welcome back, CJ.
Hey, CJ.
Hey, guys. Well, do you remember when Al Gore, his campaign loaded up people from Milwaukee and gave them free cigarettes and got in trouble for that? You probably don't remember that because you guys don't report the news. Here's the thing.
Why do you keep listening?
Do you remember when Vicky McKenna,
What?
at the behest of Scott Jensen, the former corrupted Assembly Speaker, went out and made up false rumors about voter fraud in the Kloppenburg-Prosser race? You remember that, CJ? That's recent history.
Do you remember Joe Biden won? And he's the guy that's taken us into a world war because of it.
Well, at least you admitted Joe Biden won today. I'm gonna stop over ahead.
Well done.
Thank you,
Way to step up. If more people would be like CJ and just admit that Joe Biden won, then perhaps you wouldn't have the Assembly Speaker of the state of Wisconsin being held hostage by Jefferson Davis tomorrow for at least an hour. No recordings, please.
No recordings.
No recordings.
Yeah. I like the fact that they've got another Assembly Elections Commission hearing. Let's not forget that's the authority under which the corrupted former Supreme Court Justice Gableman is operating, under their authority. Well, this next public hearing.
No, Janelle Brandon. He's a reporter, Janelle Brandon.
Well, but the subpoena power comes from the Assembly Elections Committee. And then if you want your subpoena signed, you got to go see Robin Voss, who's apparently made a deal with the terrorist over at the WCDEI. Get an hour closed door meeting. And then we're following you up to Stevens Point so you don't lie and misconstrue what was said in that meeting, although there will be no recordings because we all agree not to be agreeable.
Terrible. I guess, there's nothing wrong with, with politicians meeting with their constituents, but to have a situation like this where essentially this WCDEI doxed all of the Republican, county leadership to the entire state. There's got to be several dozen emails on this list.
Well, there's 72 county party chairs.
All right, so it's 72 at least.
Email addresses.
All right, there you go.
And they are listed individually.
And they're hot linked. You could literally click and send.
Yes, I'm anticipating doing that later. Just sharing show highlights, talking about them. Can't wait to hear how the big meeting goes tomorrow night in Stevens Point. I hope someone, Lordy, I hope there's tapes.
Well, and maybe they will discuss, PolitiFact, one of our favorites, Crudy. 5 Wisconsin cities received money in the 2020 election from Mark Zuckerberg, which amounted to, quote, a wave of massive election bribery, quote unquote. Of course, that was former disgraced Wisconsin Supreme Court Justice Michael Gableman, pants on fire. Pants on fire. I mean, this is, and I have to keep pounding this issue. I mean, if you lose the election and you lose in the courts and you lose all the way around, and you still want your way to be mandated, forced upon the majority of people who do not agree with you, you are a fascist. That is what you crave. That is what you want. And it is only people who've been so coddled and spoiled in their existence and their upbringing in this country that have never had to feel what an authoritarian dictatorship is like. Because I don't know how you guys think it's going to all work out, but usually everybody ends up dead.
We're not cheering for that outcome, right?
Certainly not.
Okay. As long as we're not cheering for it.
But if
it
you lose
happens
in the courts and you can't pass a law and you lose the elections, I mean, there's only so many options. There's only, so many branches of government that do not go along with you. And if in that situation you desire to have your will, poured and pushed and upon the majority of people who don't agree with that, that's a fascism. That is authoritarianism. And that is what you crave. And you want that. I heard you guys talking about it, I guess, a little bit earlier
today. Yes, I do crave that, but please continue.
The false bravado. Everyone's a big tough guy until that happens. I mean, how many of you folks, you hard right-wingers are going over to Ukraine and fight, CJ, right? That's what you're all about.
Well, my bone spurs are acting up.
Oh, my arm
anal lesion.
Everyone's ready to, mask, put on their flak jacket and their white claw like Enrico Proud Boys and think they're total tough guys. But when it comes down to it, those folks, the men and the women and citizens that are literally being bombed by Putin, your 2024 Republican leader's best buddy right now. And you're going to blame it on Biden? Why don't you go strap up that gun, hit a plane, go to Europe, make your way in and do your part if that's what you think you got to do. Otherwise, stop walking around and getting mad that you had to wear a mask for 18 months.
Talking about personally loyal, patriotic Americans. You see that Donald Trump was celebrating today because Joe Biden got sanctioned by Putin. And now the real corruption's going to come out.
Yeah.
The real corruption.
Yes, and OJ is going to find the real killer.
Here's what he said. Russia just sanctioned Joe Biden. Well, that is a terrible thing. In so many ways, perhaps it will now be explained why the Biden family received $3.5 million from the very wealthy former mayor of Moscow's wife. During our presidential debate, moderator Chris Wallace stood with Fox would not let me ask that question. He said it was inappropriate. Is that what he said? Inappropriate? Perhaps that's why Biden was so slow on the draw with Russia. Biden
slow on the draw, or maybe the administration before him, took the bullets out of the gun. I mean, they were pretty pally.
I think Putin literally calls Donald Trump slow hand. Come back with us, in honor of Helsinki. More devil's advocates.
Nowadays, these partisan feelings are so strong that people have lost any sense of justice.
I don't see any reason why it would be.
Man,
Ladies and gentlemen, we have arrived in Philadelphia. Local time is 3:05 p.m. and the temperature is 67 degrees. At this time, you are now free to use your cellular devices.
You know that feeling when you get to turn your phone on after the plane lands? You can have that feeling every time you drive. Make sure your cell phone is stowed away whenever you are behind the wheel.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Treat yourself to some Wisco Home Goods natural lotions or sugar scrub in 2022. I'm Don, one of the owners of this family-owned Midwestern business in Madison, Wisconsin. Our natural hand soaps, lotions, and sugar scrubs offer you the luxury you deserve. Wisco Home Goods self-care products come in a variety of scents you're sure to love. So go on, add a little pampering to your daily routine. Order at WiscoHomeGoods.com. Natural, healthy, nourishing self-care and more at WiscoHomeGoods.com.
Save the $2 on tomorrow's paper. Listen to the Devil's Advocates today.
My senator and yours, Ron Johnson. See a big story about him at the Hill this week in Hill.com. Wisconsin Democrats and Republicans both want Ron to run, but for different reasons. I think some Democrats think, oh, he's just so crazy. Of course we'll beat him, which is what they said about Trump too. Miss that guy? Not much. Not much. He used to come around.
Check out the entire podcast library at darnwi.com.
I'm Kirk Bankstad, and I own the Minocqua Brewing Company in deep red northern Wisconsin, and I have a super PAC. We make good trouble by buying billboards, radio ads, and calls to voters in northern Wisconsin. We target federal and state elections, think Ron Johnson and Tom Tiffany, and concentrate on a fair redistricting process. Give a donation now if you're able at the MinocquaBrewingCompany.com super PAC tab. Help us make the politics of the Northwoods as clean as our lakes and streams. That's the MinocquaBrewingCompany.com super PAC tab.
The Devil's Advocates, rock and roll political commentary in a top 40 world.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates Radio. So the last segment of the day. If you got something to say, pick up the phone, hit us up toll free right now, 844-967-2789.
Dominic, there's a speculative article over at the Urban Milwaukee Online Daily. The question, can Ron Johnson win re-election? What do you think?
Unfortunately, anything is possible, Mike.
Well, let's not forget 2016. The opponent at that time was Russ Feingold, of course. And Ron Johnson was at 29% favorability in the state of Wisconsin. That ain't so great. 33% unfavorable going into the 2016 campaign. Now, Ron Johnson won that seat, we all know, by 50%. That's the highest vote total any Republican had ever received in the state of Wisconsin until your boy Trump. My understanding, what? Trump got more votes? Or did Rojo beat Trump? I'll have to look that up. I think Rojo used to be pretty proud. Maybe Trump beat him this time. He had the highest vote total of any Republican in 12, some crazy stuff. But anyways, Rojo's back on the ballot, right? 16 to 22. So back on the ballot. The question becomes, what about now? How does Rojo sit now in the polling? Well, now, Dom, according to the newest Marquette University Law School poll, now Rojo has a favorability rating of 33%. He was at a meager 29% then. You know, he's grown. But here's the problem for Rojo. His unfavorable has grown as well significantly, 45% unfavorable. So he's somewhat vulnerable, right? He's the most vulnerable senator in America because he's one of the few that are running in a Biden won state. And even he admits, you know, well, Trump didn't get the votes here.
Hey, man, he loves this country and he thinks that he can be a unifier and bring people together.
A healer?
A healer,
now, Now, did you see the irony when Rojo called himself a unifier and a healer? You know, maybe the only one, Dom. Everybody else out there, they're so polarizing. Not this guy. He brings us all together. Just
everybody's so different. I haven't changed, right?
Fuzzy hugs. You know, I hear his name. It makes me want to hug something.
Listen, I mean, he's the incumbent. I mean, he's been an underdog, you know, both time, every time he's ran. So you never can just sit and think, oh man, it's this time his unfavorables are so high that no one's ever going to possibly vote for him. You can't do that. I mean, you could have thought that the last two times, and he still won.
But Rojo gets favorable coverage over on conservative media. Let me read from the body of this piece. Johnson has long said he got involved in politics out of a desire to see former President Barack Obama's healthcare law repealed. Right? That was his big deal. It was the central issue of his 2010 campaign. I said 12, my bad, for U.S. Senate. In his stump speech, he called it the greatest assault on American freedom in his lifetime. In the Senate, he repeatedly voted to repeal Obamacare, including its popular policies, such as protection for those with pre-existing conditions. So it arguably shouldn't have come as a surprise when Rojo raised the idea of repealing the law last week in an interview with a right-wing podcast.
No. He backpedaled that. It was just an example of a policy that they were behind the 8 ball on when it finally got their chance and they couldn't do it. So they just need to be prepared, but not necessarily for repealing and replacing Obamacare with nothing.
Well, here's the specific quote, Dom. If Republicans want to repeal and replace Obamacare, Johnson said, we need to have a plan ahead of time so that once we get into office, we can implement it immediately. Instead, the statement set off a flurry of coverage in national outlets and critical statements from Johnson's Democratic opponents. Oh, there's a lot of them. Johnson even put out a statement walking back the comments, as Dom mentioned, saying he meant it as an example of his legislative priority setting rather than a concrete statement of intent. I was not suggesting repealing and replacing Obamacare should be one of those priorities, he wrote. But Johnson's initial statements about the ACA represented a relatively unusual instance of Johnson seeming to be out of step with conservative media, which has largely moved on from Obamacare's repeal efforts that animated the 2010s. A political science professor from our old stomping grounds in UW-La Crosse says, his name, Anthony Chergowski, it's clear that he really values being in line with the conservative media ecosystem and the Republican base. He's really attuned to the animating issues in the conservative media.
Yes.
Is that what's changed, Ron?
I mean, I don't know about in tune to hell. He's fed it. I mean, when he was chair of his GAC, some of his what was his purpose and his point on his committee meetings? I mean, he has been a purveyor and distributor of
a provocateur, would you
Russian
say,
propaganda, let's call it. I mean, a provocateur, sure, you could say that as well. But I do have a question. I mean, and this is a legitimate. Ron Johnson is running for Senate for the 3rd time, right? He is probably one of the most powerful Republicans in the state of Wisconsin. Hell, you could call him maybe, the party leader here in Wisconsin. If that's the case, where does Ron Johnson stand on the state of decertifying the Biden electors? Because they're meeting with Assembly Speaker Robin Vos tomorrow, Ron.
Well, Ron had a advocacy. Specifically, Ron thinks legislative Republicans should take back administration of the future elections. Now, Ron's laid out the math. He talked about the overvotes. If Republicans had only voted top of the ticket for Donald Trump in the same way they did for Assembly Republicans, according to Rojo. Rojo said this. We play the ads occasionally. Then Donald Trump would have won the state of Wisconsin, right? Chergowski said it's clear that he really values being in line with conservative media ecosystem and the Republican base. He's really attuned to the animating issues in the conservative media, and a little bit more. That affinity for conservative media has raised his national profile, Chergowski said, and may help ensure that conservatives in rural Wisconsin who voted in droves for former President Donald Trump in 16 and 20 turn out for Johnson too. One last quote. Ron Johnson has gained an intense following among Republican activists, and that is going to serve him well in terms of intensity of support that he will get among key parts of the electorate. The Rantham, the Ram Jam fringe, Dom, or is it the fringe, or is it the heart and soul?
Listen, the
grassroots Republican Party,
the heart and soul, the grassroots Republicans, the WCDEI meeting with Robin Vos. They want somehow, some way to snap our fingers and make the Biden electors disappear, right? I think Ron Johnson is obligated to comment on that very specific issue, Ron. These are the people that look up to you. These are the people you want to vote for you. Where do you stand on that issue, sir?
Ron's against snapping and all forms of music. Thanks for listening to the Devil's Advocate Radio Show. We'll do it for you again tomorrow, but we're all taking Friday off.
Oh, nice. All right.
See you tomorrow, though. We've got a few more days. Devil's Advocates, keep it tuned. Right here, Devil Radio and the Shaw.
So, Obamacare is still in place, and we've doubled the debt. I don't feel like my time here has been particularly successful.
What would you say you do here?
I don't know, but I'm suspicious.
Hey everyone, it's Abby with Downdrains Distilling. Come out to visit us and try our craft